welcome in Adrian Wojnarowski, who's really just getting this thing going because obviously Thursday's the big day in the NBA, and Kyle Lowry's got suitors. I know that there's a market for him, and I'm just curious, how many people are we talking about that are angling for the Raptors star?
Scott, it's significant. And listen, there are teams who think about the idea of trading for him and then perhaps signing him this summer when he's a free agent. And then there's those who look at him perhaps as a rental. And so the Raptors are sifting through all of those offers, along with those for Norman Powell. And here, I got a little trade for you here, Scott. Hold on.
Here we go. Here we go. Breaking news, Woj Bum. I knew something was happening. You started looking at your phone, getting all nervous.
I know. I don't ever do that with you. This is a small one. Detroit is trading DeLon Wright to the Kings for guard Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks, I'm told. So that's a tip-off here. We're past midnight. It is trade deadline day. And that's one to
Woj, you're tweeting that. You're tweeting that because you have more Twitter followers than are people watching us, and it's important to you got to have that timestamp. I know how the currency works with you guys. But if we go back to Lowry and maybe to a lesser degree Gordon, how much are those two teams, Toronto and Orlando, kind of slowing down the dominoes from falling across the league because everybody's waiting to find out what happens there?
No, that's exactly it, Scott. And I talked to a lot of frustrated team executives, general managers this afternoon, tonight, who really are just waiting. And the action largely is not going to start, and you're not going to see the floodgates open until those bigger deals are off the board. And so Orlando and Toronto, they really hold a lot of the leverage on this trade deadline. And as long as those deals are still not done, well, you may see a lot of the other deals held up. But once you see those bigger deals go off the board, you're going to see a lot of action. I think there'll be a lot of activity tomorrow.
Well, I'd say goodbye and we'll see you in the morning, but you screwed this up for later with that whole live tweeting of a trade. So we're probably going to have to talk again before you get to go to bed. So just, I'll talk to you later. I guess we'll have to put it that way. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Come on, bring it to the square. Let's get it. Come on.
Oh boy, I've been saying it, and I'm not gonna stop saying it. And y'all gonna have to just see it. I was telling I asked him. I said, "Hey, have you ever had a high ankle sprain? Have you ever had the calf?" I said, I have had both of those injuries. This is why I'm not concerned. Now, Lamont came on earlier. Just a second ago, and told you he ain't concerned about the Lakers being healthy. They will be healthy. He just told
they will. See, hold on.
Gotta stay healthy. They will.
Lamont. You think they're gonna be fully healthy?
They will be healthy.
They will.
Okay. Yo, crazy.
He just said that. Let me roll. Again,
go ahead.
You've never had these injuries.
You're right.
You played, and like Lamont played on a high level like I did, you kind of know what's going on. Every time and I told him this earlier, every game that the Lakers win, that literally gives LeBron James like an extra week of rest if he wants it. I tried to give him facts. I said, okay, where were the Lakers when AD went down in the West? Can anybody tell me, anybody in the room, where were we at when AD went down in the West?
Y'all was the number 2 seed.
The number 1 seed.
Nah, Jazz was number 1 seed. They were the 2 seed.
He went down in the West. We were the 4 seed. Go back and look at it.
No, y'all was the 2 seed.
Go back and look.
What year is this? What year is this?
He talking about this shit before AD went out.
When AD went down, we were the 4 seed.
No, y'all wasn't. Y'all was the 2 seed, huh? Y'all was fighting with the Jazz for the 1 seed.
Nah, we never fought with the Jazz all year. Remember the Jazz got out to the little. Yeah, ain't nobody fought with the Jazz for the first season at all.
Yeah, I think the Clippers had overtook the
Clippers.
Lakers.
Remember they had a little back and forth with the Clippers, and the Clippers would win, and then they go in front of the Lakers, and because they beat the Lakers, they would have the same record, but they would put the Clippers ahead of them because they had the same record, but the Clippers beat them, so they just put the Clippers in third. That's where we were, tied with the Clippers with the record, but considered 4th place because the Clippers had beat us the first game.
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine, Manscaped, and their new performance package. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
Welcome back to the Woj Low Trade Deadline Special. Let's fly through some of the premier buyout candidates, starting with Cleveland Cavaliers center Andre Drummond. Seems unlikely they'll find a trade partner given his huge salary, almost $30 million. He could really help either of the Los Angeles teams, the Brooklyn Nets, really anybody. Woj, what should we expect? Where's he going to be playing in a couple of days?
Yeah, Andre Drummond, he's going to be the crown jewel of that buyout market by all appearances right now. Both Los Angeles teams, the Lakers, the Clippers, are expected to have great interest. The Brooklyn Nets, of course, like they're trying to gather up every great player or former great player in the league and in the buyout market. And then the Celtics and Mavericks are teams to watch with Andre Drummond. Listen, as you know, Zach, a lot of these players don't want to take buyouts. They want to get traded. They don't want to become have the perception that they're a minimum player, because usually you sign a minimum deal in the buyout market. But it looks like that's where Andre Drummond's headed for, unless Cleveland can find a trade that we probably don't expect they will here in the next 24 hours. But certainly with the Lakers, he'd move right in. He'd be their starting center. I think the role would be most significant with that LA team.
He'd look great next to LeBron, rolling for dunks and all of that. In Brooklyn, he'd give them another Joel Embiid antidote, another big body to battle Joel Embiid. Nick Claxton, who's been sensational backing up DeAndre Jordan, can't really do that, isn't ready for that kind of physicality. Let's move to LaMarcus Aldridge, who has agreed to part ways really with the Spurs. Stretch 5 at this point in his career, has lost probably a half a step on defense, but could probably still help a team in a limited role. Certainly has been coveted since the Spurs thing happened. Where are we hearing for him, Woj?
Yeah, I think Miami is going to be a front runner for LaMarcus Aldridge. If you think back to Aldridge's free agency when he left Portland for San Antonio, he actually took a meeting with Pat Riley, even though the Heat really didn't have the cap space to sign him. And Riley did such a great job talking to him about team and the importance of going somewhere and winning and being a part of something bigger than himself. It actually pushed him, Aldridge told me, to the Spurs over the Suns at that time. And now, I think potentially Aldridge and Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra will have a chance to finally get together.
You mentioned the Suns. That was his other 2015 free agency team. I think he'd fit great there. I think they need one more guy who can either play with Dario Saric or in place of Dario Saric if there's a matchup for some reason. Just one more rotation guy. We'll get to them later. And I would expect the Charlotte Hornets to at least.
Miami has a great chance to get him, but I still think LaMarcus Aldridge, I think he's going to have a lot of options when he gets out into the market.
And I would expect the Charlotte Hornets also to be among the teams to at least reach out. He'd have an instant big role there. Let's transition, go back to the Pelicans. It's sort of shocking that the J.J. Redick era in New Orleans would come to a buyout. It appears we're headed that way. And look, you can never have enough shooting. You can never have enough wings. Yeah, he's aging. Yeah, he's not the greatest defensive player in the world, but he can help. He's played on big stages. He's playoff tested. Woj, where do we think Mr. Redick is going to end up?
Well, we know where he keeps his offseason home, Zach. We know where he spends his time. That's in Brooklyn. I think certainly the Nets will have an opportunity there. I think there's one team, though, if he was willing to geographically move back out west, the Utah Jazz. And he and Quinn Snyder, the Jazz head coach, certainly both Duke guys, they've had a long, great relationship. And I know that JJ's always had great respect for Quinn Snyder, but I think geography may play a big part in this. And Brooklyn certainly has the ability to bring in a few buyout guys here and continue, to really put a roster together that's going to have great depth and optionality in the postseason.
Does JJ still have a place in LA? Because the romantic in me would love a JJ Redick return to the Clippers. Another team that sort of cycles through which guard is going to close games next to their big wings. Shooting. That's what everyone wants. The romantic in me kind of wants that, but it seems like Brooklyn is the front runner.
Gorilla on the track. Josh Coleman.
don't matter to y'all.
Hold on. Let me ask y'all a question about clutch, because we talk about Kyrie being clutch offensively, but I actually just the other day was watching that Clippers versus Wizards game, and Westbrook did one of the most clutch things you can do without scoring the basketball to win that game, and he will never get credit for it because he wasn't scoring. He didn't make a game-winning bucket. He made a game-saving rebound, but it was probably one of the most clutch rebounds that I've seen in NBA history. But Westbrook, when they played they just played the Clippers. They just played the Clippers before so it was a rebound where the Wizards.
I saw that.
The Wizards were shooting a free throw. It was a 2-point game. They missed the free throw. All the Clippers need to do was really get the rebound. They call timeout. They get another shot to win the game. But Westbrook was able to sneak in from the perimeter and steal the rebound that's really saved the game, and they just dribbled the clock out. But you will never, it's like the thing when we talk about LeBron having that block, nobody looks at that block as a clutch play. They just say it's a great block. It was a clutch play now. It was a clutch play. But when we talk about clutch, nobody considers defense clutch. Nobody considers rebounds as clutch. They always talk about, he made this perfect shot. But we don't talk about what led up to Kyrie Irving even being in the situation to make that shot to where it could give him the go ahead.
Hey, Lamar,
the things are clutch.
They don't care about defense. That's why they just didn't want to say.
I know they don't.
I care about defense, dog.
No, you just said, hold on, Mac. That's a lie, Mac.
Just as important.
You don't care about defense.
You might get the shot. I do care about defense.
You said plenty of time. Hold on, plenty of time, Mac. Plenty of time.
It is equally important because let's just say LeBron. Let's just say Iguodala made that layup, right? It's a 2-point game. If Iguodala makes that layup, Kyrie comes down and hits the 3. They still got the 1-point lead.
A block gave him the momentum.
A
block gave him the momentum to hit that 3.
It was on a fast break.
Exactly.
Momentum ain't got nothing to do with one-on-one.
Bro, what? What? With one-on-one? Bro, shut your channel down.
So they had the momentum, but they had the okay. So they scored the 2 points, right? And they got the momentum. So Curry's gonna play lockdown defense now.
What?
They can set up their defense now.
Absolutely.
They set up they had their defense set up right then and there.
It was a fast break.
That didn't happen on the play after the block. The shot did not happen on the play after the block. The shot happened out of a timeout. The shot happened out of a timeout.
So the Warriors' defense was set up.
Oh, but hold on.
The Warriors' defense was set up. Kyrie schooled Curry on the one-on-one. Period. Point blank. It was a clutch shot. End of discussion. Now, I didn't say Westbrook is better than Kyrie, but Westbrook is not a better shooter than Kyrie.
Hold on. Oh, Mac, my thing with you is every time we talk about great players, and you always talk about somebody being a better shooter, as if there's nothing else in the game of basketball other than just shooting.
I didn't say he was a player. I said Westbrook is a better player. That eliminates everything about that.
Yeah, Mac Def.
I just said he was a better player.
Hold on, Mac Def. That was a great question the Elder had for you. He said, "What's your point by saying he's a better shooter?"
Yeah.
If he's gonna be taking all the shots, it's not like he's not going to be efficient. Y'all act like he's gonna be like 9 for 24
what I'm telling
or something.
You,
11 for 27. Y'all act like he's just gonna have bad nights.
What I'm telling you to do is go look in the big games and look at what his shooting percentage is. That's what I told you to do in the beginning.
I looked at Kyrie Irving stats, and I know that he averaged 27 points in the finals.
Right, but go to his whole career. Go to his whole career.
That's like comparing Chris Bosh.
You're evading the statement I'm making.
Mac Devin, let me.
No, I'm not.
You talking about big games? The dude had 240 games in the finals.
Because the only big games he had was with the MVP.
So did LeBron. LeBron had 40-point games.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying. You're saying this. You're saying that Kyrie is going to be the number one option. You're saying that Kyrie is going to take 25 shots a game. And what I'm saying, okay, if he does that, number one, he's not just going to be like 10 for 25, 8 for 24. He's going to be good. Next, he's got Harden and he's got KD. He's not even going to take that many shots, dog.
Okay, that's the problem, Mac. Hold on. If Kyrie's not on the court taking a high volume of shots, what is he on the court doing?
He's going to be out of the game.
You
don't need him. He's not worth a damn if he's not scoring. He doesn't defend. He doesn't play make. He doesn't do none of that.
Kyrie Irving doesn't play make.
He does not play make. Come on.
He's not.
Okay, you're selling Kyrie short. It's okay. I'm not gonna argue. You're selling Kyrie short because he's got one of the
Mac Def, the easy proof of this is when they traded, when Dinwiddie went down, and they needed Kyrie to be the point for those first 3 games after that, why did he look trash? Because he can't play make. Dinwiddie was the playmaker.
Playing it too, dog. James Harden a point guard for a reason. What are you talking about?
Right.
Have you had a chance to look at the Johnson account?
Not yet. I've just been playing catch up from last.
Is this guy bothering you?
No. I was just.
Hey, she said she's not interested. Okay, guy. I mean, this is a workplace, Chief. How about a little, I don't know, professionalism? Maybe we need to take this outside, because...
Bush out of control? Tame it with the Lawnmower 3.0, featuring skin-safe technology.
Sorry, guys.
Order today at manscaped.com and receive free shipping, boxer briefs, and a travel bag.
The other big name this week linked to some of these teams has been Aaron Gordon in Orlando, who reportedly requested a trade. We can talk about where that stands in a second, but he's been linked to Boston, Denver. Some reporting, not mine or yours, has linked him to Portland. What are we hearing on AG? What's the latest?
Yeah, Houston's another team that's engaged Orlando on Aaron Gordon. But, you mentioned that trade request that was made weeks ago. Well, I'm told in the last 24, 48 hours, Aaron Gordon has had some second thoughts about that trade request, about whether he actually really wants to leave Orlando. But the Magic, their front office, they forged ahead in trying to find a deal for Gordon. You mentioned Boston, and sometimes Boston will get into some of these trade talks, and teams are never quite sure how serious they are about following through. But I think the sense is that Boston is very serious about trying to acquire Gordon. And I think for the Magic here, this is a chance now to start taking a look at how they want to reshape this roster moving forward. But whatever Aaron Gordon wants right now, I know that Orlando and their front office, they're going to do what's best for them. And that may very well be taking the best package they can. That's one you can expect to go right up to that Thursday deadline, and then Orlando taking their best offer and moving Aaron Gordon on.
Yeah, Houston got very serious with Orlando. I think that seems to have fallen apart. Denver is super interesting to me because they have some young guys, and they can trade a pick, and they have salary filler in Gary Harris and Will Barton that matches in years Aaron Gordon's contract almost immediately. He fills that sort of Jeremy Grant tweener forward, defense-first player that they lacked and that they're going to need to get through Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James. The long-term picture, though, is Michael Porter Jr. is going to get a ton of money. Jokic and Murray already do make a ton of money. Can Denver really afford 4 big salaries? Minnesota's been in on Aaron Gordon. I think Orlando would love to get their hands on Jaden McDaniels in any kind of trade like that. What are you hearing about Portland, Woj? Another team that has done incredible work to hang in despite injuries, and I think could use one last infusion of talent to really, really compete. What are you hearing about them?
Yeah, I think Portland's been very active, and listen, they've used some picks and some trades here in the last several months. The Robert Covington deal with Houston that they did before the season, but this is a team in Portland that, as you said, as they start to get their guys back, and I think you look at some of those perimeter players out there, a Norman Powell, even an Oladipo on a rental. I think they have the assets in Portland if they decide that they want to get involved, especially with somebody in a rental situation. They've got some young players there, but they also really like the young guys they have in Portland. And the one thing you've been able to see the Blazers do through the years is draft well, hit it in the second round on guys, and then get those players better.
Yeah, well, hold on. This question is going to be for Big Metro, because Lord Gamer, you getting the questions right too fast. All right, we need to put y'all in the heat, man. If y'all start getting these questions wrong, then the chat gonna start lighting y'all up. All right. So Big Metro, and if y'all cheat and give them the answer, is voided. You got 3 seconds to give me your answer. Who did Shaquille O'Neal challenge to a public one-on-one in a typewritten letter? 3, 2, 1. He didn't get it right, man. So we're gonna pass that up, man. Lord Gamer, who is it?
David Robinson.
No, it was Akeem Olajuwon. You would have got it wrong. All right.
Akeem Olajuwon would have twisted his ass.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna give this question to who do we got in here? Actually, I'm gonna give this question to Mike Butter in the chat. I'm gonna give this one. No, I'm gonna give this to SB. SB in the chat. Because SB, I know you're gonna come live, but SB is in the chat right now. SB, type your answer in the chat. You got 3 seconds to type your answer in. All right, SB, your question is, in 1991, how did the Detroit Pistons disrespect the Chicago Bulls after getting swept?
Ooh,
3,
that's easy.
2, 1.
Lamont, let me get this.
Oh, did he put his shit? Did he? It's too late. It's 3 seconds. Did he get his answer in? I don't see an answer from SB. I don't see an answer from SB.
Man,
this is in the documentary.
Everybody knows this.
This is in the documentary.
Hold on. SB, what time is it? Okay, no, it says that SB's comment was at 7:46. So that's probably within the right time frame. All right, I'll give it to you, SB. So we got another code coming in the chat. Matter of fact, we're gonna put it on the screen again. We got Ryan Phillips coming in. Ryan Phillips, make sure you connect that mic or camera so we can let you in. But stay right there while I'm typing this code in. All right, hold on 1 second, y'all. But yeah, man, I don't know, man, about Go Mike's game, man. What up, Lord Gamer? Lord Gamer, you got to answer this question, though, man.
I'm too smart.
Lord Gamer, why did you back out?
IQ.
Why did you back out of the 1v1 against Go Mike?
I didn't back. I had something to handle.
But you don't have something to handle every day, every minute of every day.
A guy was speaking on my name, so I had to take care of him, Lamont.
You said you had what?
A guy was speaking on my name, so I had to take care of him.
Okay, but once you was done with that, you had an opportunity to play Go Mike.
Nah, it was multiple guys.
So you had to take out multiple guys on multiple days.
Yes, for each day, yeah.
All right, yeah. Okay, Lord Gamer, you starting to sound worse than Go Mike now. Hold on, let's get this in the chat. All right, so free for all for the next Amazon gift card, man. I want to see who can get this code, man. I want to see new winners. ISO Joe and Jaden should not win this code again. There's the code again, and if you win it, let me know how much you want.
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine, Manscaped, and their new performance package. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
Talk about the trade deadline. We're going to bring in our friend Bobby Marks because he knows about what's going on. And I'm going to start with the Raptors, right? They won a championship not too long ago, and they had a guy on that team named Kyle Lowry. He is in trade conversations, one of those teams I'm kind of happy about with my questionable Heat fandom. So what have you heard lately about Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, I mean, he's on an expiring contract. This Raptors team has lost 9 games in a row. I think they're 3 games out of the play-in tournament. Him and Norm Powell are the 2 names to keep an eye on. I think for teams like Miami and for Philadelphia, it's a matter of how they view Lowry. He's not extension eligible, so are you getting him for the next 2 to 3 months as a rental? And what do you want to give up? If you're the Heat, it will cost you a combination of probably Goran Dragic or Andre Iguodala and one of your younger players, Duncan Robinson or Kendrick Nunn. For Philadelphia, I rarely see a team that's the best in the conference in prior trade deadlines willing to kind of trade 4 for 1 with Lowry. It would cost them certainly Danny Green and maybe even a player like Tyrese Maxey. But Lowry is definitely the guy that could maybe change the dynamics in that Eastern Conference.
Hey, Bobby, let's stay in the Eastern Conference with the Celtics and Magic. Obviously, the big name and the buzz is Aaron Gordon. What's the latest on that? And if that's, in fact, going to happen, what does Boston have to give up to get Aaron Gordon into the green and white?
Yeah, it's interesting. Danny Ainge has always been reluctant as far as trading away future assets, first-round picks. They've got this big trade exception. That's at $28.5 million. Gordon's got 2 years left. It's a descending contract. I think it's going to cost you two future ones if it's in 2021 or in 2023 to get a player like Aaron Gordon. I think it's to keep an eye on a team like Denver also, who has the maybe the right players and mix of younger players, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris. They're still looking for that Jeremy Grant type replacement, but I'd be surprised if Aaron Gordon is still in a Magic uniform when we get past 3 o'clock on Thursday.
It's a little bit more questionable as to whether or not Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to remain with the Warriors. So what does that front office see for him as far as his future with the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Oubre is on an expiring contract, and teams are getting this big tax break this year because revenue is declining. And I guess a pre-COVID year, the Golden State tax bill would have been about $140 million. Now it's only $70 million. So if you move Oubre at the deadline, the savings is not as significant as prior years. The problem is that he's a free agent. They're going to be in the repeater tax next year, meaning that the penalty is going to be double. You get Klay Thompson back. He'll probably demand a salary in that $9 to $10 million range, what essentially could cost you $80 million just for Oubre in next year. So they've got a decision to make by Thursday. If they hold on to him, they certainly can do something when we get into free agency.
Bobby, last one for me, and this one seems to be the most intriguing. Lonzo Ball down in New Orleans. Magic Johnson just recently came out and said he's got the top IQ of any point guard in the league. High praise, obviously, coming from Magic. So what scenario do you see playing out with Lonzo in New Orleans? Does he stay, and if he does, where does he go?
Yeah, I would be reluctant regarding Lonzo in New Orleans as far as trying to find him a new home by the deadline, just because he's a restricted free agent. You have the right to match, and I don't want to see him as a cap casualty because you're sitting on $18 million of Eric Bledsoe's contract for this year and next year. And if there's not a deal to be made, and I know that his price tag probably could be north of $18 million, he's played his best basketball this year. I wouldn't do anything with Lonzo and wait until the offseason. Certainly a team like Chicago has been mentioned. Philadelphia would be intriguing as far as a Lonzo Ball fit, but I'm hesitant as far as moving off from him.
All right, so not that much longer till we see where all of these things land. Thanks so much, Bobby, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
The Lakers are maybe a little more vulnerable than the team they brought into the playoffs last season. Certainly up front, it was really difficult to get to the rim last year against LA. Not so much this year in their front court. But I think the expectation is by the time they get to the playoffs, LeBron James and Anthony Davis should be healthy, and both are going to sit here until they're not. But all of a sudden, think of your reward if you're the Jazz, if you're the Suns. Hey, we got the 1 or 2 seed in the West, and here are the Lakers in the first round. That's not exactly why you wanted to earn the privilege of being at the top of the conference. But I do think there's I think especially in the West, teams. I think Denver is a team that's you look at Jeremy Grant and losing him to Detroit in free agency. They have felt the impact of that, certainly. And I think Denver's a team that would certainly like to improve. I think they look at a Jazz team now that maybe jump them in the Western Conference. Phoenix, I think, is a team that surprised everybody. Monty Williams, certainly a Coach of the Year candidate there. And I think the Clippers still, they've got to get better. And I think they still need some more guard play. And I think they're out in the market monitoring that. And you may see teams may not do it by the trade deadline. I think you're going to see a lot of quality players in the buyout market, and then that's going to have for a lot of teams some urgency, to add a player there where you could add a player obviously without having to give anything up.
I really wish the Clippers would go for a guy like Kyle Lowry. I think he would make such a difference on their team. Yeah. I think chances are I'll probably end up in Miami before LA. But Woj, you're always my barometer for whether I'm crazy or not on NBA Countdown. And this morning I talked about the fact for LeBron being out for a little while, who knows what's happening with AD? Could we potentially see a scenario in which the Lakers are in the play-in tournament? Is that feasible to think? Is it realistic?
It's not inconceivable. I mean, listen, in the West, you can lose. Listen, these games come right on top of each other in this shortened season and in the second half. It's not inconceivable, but I think, depending on how long, LeBron's out, I think AD's certainly going to be back sooner. If you just have one of those players on the court on a given night, you could certainly beat anybody. This is a team right now that can lose to anybody without them. But it is a concern for this Laker team. And listen, but at the same time, I do know this, and I know the Lakers believe this. As long as they have their healthy team, they can go win on the road in the postseason. There's no one they're going to be afraid of. And this is still a championship battle team. And when you have AD and LeBron back, having them healthy for a playoff run is much more important than playoff seeding. I don't know that they could fall all the way out of it, but by the time, when we get to the end of the year, could they be in that 6th, 7th, 8th spot? Yes, of course they could be.
Well, just pop the champagne. The Rockets won a game. Give it up, give it up. They snapped the 20-game losing streak. But in all seriousness, can we see one of their 2 stars potentially on the move? Oladipo, I know that the asking price was high earlier on, or maybe John Wall on the move.
Yeah, John Wall's contract and the injuries, that's not really conceivable. There's no real value on the market with the money owed him and where he is right now. But Victor Oladipo, that's going to be really the interesting one to watch between now and Thursday. He is very much available. The question is, how much can they get back for Oladipo? And his market value, again, given injury, given his availability to play, how efficient he's been. And then, if I'm trading for him, what do I want to pay him? Listen, there are teams out there who would trade for him as a rental, and that's not the kind of return Houston wants on the guy who was the centerpiece of the Harden trade, certainly outside of the picks they gathered. But I think Oladipo is very much available. The question really is, can Houston get back, a representative offer? Because if they don't, they may just hold on to him for the rest of the season and look at maybe sign and trade options when the year's out, when he has shown that he can be consistently healthy and play at a high level, because he's not really been able to show that, or hasn't shown that yet this season in Houston.
Yeah, there's been a lot of eyes on Oladipo this season just to see how he's responding from the injury. In Boston, Danny Ainge has collected a lot of draft picks, a lot of assets, and they have a team that you would argue, looking at their record, has underachieved. They've had a lot of injuries, obviously. Is Danny Ainge going to be active at the trade deadline?
Well, history shows the Celtics will make a lot of phone calls. They'll get involved with a lot of different players and ultimately not do very many deals. But I do think there's a different urgency. They are involved in the Aaron Gordon talks. There's a number of teams with Orlando. I think there's 2 teams, really are going to set the tone of trade deadline. I think that's Orlando, and I think that's Toronto. And certainly, but Boston, we'll see. I think Orlando is really, they're going to take in bids. They're going to take in offers on Aaron Gordon. I do think this is the end. This is the end for Aaron Gordon in Orlando. I think they're ready to move on from him. I think he's ready to move on. Boston's in that mix.
Woj, always a must follow. Appreciate you, man.
Have you had a chance to look at the Johnson account?
Not yet. I've just been playing catch up from last.
Is this guy bothering you?
No, I was just...
Hey, she said she's not interested, okay, guy? I mean, this is a workplace, Chief. How about a little, I don't know, professionalism? Maybe we need to take this outside, because...
Bush out of control? Tame it with the Lawnmower 3.0, featuring skin-safe technology.
Sorry, guys.
Order today at manscaped.com and receive free shipping, boxer briefs, and a travel bag.
No, I thought
What was he doing?
No, I thought he said he got taken down for bullying.
Oh, no, he didn't tell me right, but that's what I thought was.
Anime characters, bro. What the hold up, cuz? What the fuck?
You ain't seen the thumbnail? Hey, True says you ain't got no neck, anti.
He has some soft cartoon porn.
25 looking at. Nigga, I got a neck. I got a neck. Fuck you mean? Hey, hold on, Lamont. Why y'all keep trying to join the nigga facial features, dog?
I'm not
I ain't
joining
never
you,
seen a man. I ain't never seen a nigga speak on a nigga facial features so much, dog.
You're not
You
joining.
heard me?
You doing a straight light skin face, boy. I thought you was a dark skinned dude. Boy.
Hold on, I was looking
First
at
of
your
all,
hat.
nigga, I'm caramel. Nigga, fuck out of here.
I was trying to see the.
Ain't
I
no
was trying
grown
to
man
see.
calling himself caramel, bro. You gotta chill out, bro. Ain't no grown man calling himself caramel. You gotta
Hey,
chill out.
no homo. He trying to make himself look
caramel.
Celtic. Get out of here. Fuck out of here.
Say tender, man. You gotta chill, bro. It's a sports
Hey,
show.
who is this nigga that just came in at the bottom looking like Roy Lee? Who is that?
That's Lord Ninja. That's Lord Ninja.
Oh, he changed his picture.
Boy, you boy.
Lord
Boy,
Ninja,
that
that's
nigga
you.
like DK Metcalf.
That's me right
Like you in an old smooth.
You lying? That's not you, bro. Turn your camera on.
game.
Turn your
That's
camera
Lord
on.
game.
Turn your camera on. That ain't you, boy. You look 40, but you sound like you 12.
I'm about to say your voice don't. Hey, your face don't match your voice, nigga. I was
Imagine,
Hell no.
I can't imagine you trying to talk to a girl. They see your face and you just call that little baby ass voice. You probably be blue.
Shorty look like DK Metcalf, boy.
Hold on, I'll find out. I'm gonna find out if it's Lord Gamer. Watch.
Hey, True, you can't talk about nobody with them thick ass glasses you got on, boy. You know who you look like? What's the nigga name that was in Paid in Full? The boyfriend. What was the nigga from Paid in Full with the glasses?
Called him Kermit.
That's what that nigga look like, Kermit. Yeah.
No, you gotta chill.
Hell no.
Talk about nigga, I just made enough money to feed the project. Get the face looking ass nigga.
Baked, what did he say? Baked biscuits for the project.
Baked biscuits for the project, yeah. Made enough money to bake biscuit for the project face ass.
Hey, y'all niggas stupid on the phone.
Come in with that bullshit, True.
Hey,
No,
you really took your boy's channel down though? For real?
Yeah, they took it down. That's Lord Gamer for real.
Hell no, that's his older brother, nigga. That's his cousin.
Hold
on. Gordon, Lord Gamer.
Dark skinned nigga with
hold
waves. That nigga Googled that picture.
That nigga went on Facebook and found the hardest nigga.
Lord Gamer, I would give you one chance.
Cause that is not you.
Because I'm gonna share my screen here in a second.
Oh shit.
Can I share my screen, Lord Gamer?
Hey.
Nah.
Nah,
Oh, come on, nigga. Don't tell me you let her taking niggas' pictures and putting them as your profile.
Who is that, boy, on your profile picture? That's your brother? Oh, so that is him.
No.
That nigga said dark skinned man. Hell no.
What nigga did that, bro? This nigga Google
Yo,
dark skin.
what the fuck is this?
Hey, so that's not Lord Gamer. That's what he got his picture from.
Yeah.
Hey, excuse me. I'm gonna have to leave the panel off of that.
Lord Gamer, dog.
Hey, you busted, dog.
Hey, Lord Gamer, bro, you bogus as hell.
You bogus.
You about to attend this barbecue.
How did you find this picture, Lamont?
You about to attend this barbecue.
You know I'm cold with it. You know Fred went and got that for me ASAP.
Lamont, you know what, Lamont? I ain't fucking with you, dog. You be finding shit out of nowhere, bro. Hell no.
Hey,
I'm scared of this nigga, dog.
Hold on, man.
This nigga Google dark
How
skin.
you get the... Hey, Lord Gamer. Hey, shut your channel down, bro.
I was just playing. This nigga really did that.
What's up?
Tayshaun Holmes said,
I'm just looking up stuff on the internet.
you look like you traded 4 packs of noodles for a fitted.
I don't understand that, bro. Cincinnati Reds ass nigga, fuck
you. Look like a jailbird, nigga.
Alright, nigga, I just lift weights. That's all. Lift weights, that's all.
Hey, Lamont. Hey,
really
Lamont, don't look too
What
much.
I tell you, Lamont?
You may find anti-picture in there.
Look at Go Mike talking now.
You would never find my picture, nigga.
Purchase your track today.
Fake trade time on the Woj trade deadline special. Let's start with the Boston Celtics, the kings of the rumor mill. This was one of the trades that I think made the most sense. Alas, it doesn't appear likely to happen, and that's Harrison Barnes going from Sacramento into the Boston Celtics. Giant trade exception for Aaron Nesmith. Let's call it a top 10 protected first, and then a nice second rounder, totally unprotected second rounder. Let's get crazy. Harrison Barnes would help the Celtics, and the Kings get some nice return for a guy who's got 2 years left on a big contract. Woj, why is this not going to happen?
Well, listen, they are listening on Harrison Barnes with the Kings, but there's this idea that you actually have like a good player on a good contract, who's actually helped you win games. They want to get into the playoffs here in the near future in Sacramento. To me, I'm not moving Harrison Barnes unless someone blows me away. He's been a really efficient, good player for the Kings. You just can't be in a perpetual rebuild mode.
Fair enough. Let's move on to just my vanity project. I want the Phoenix Suns to look at this as a championship window that's open for them and make at least a small win-now move. This is the first one. Kenrich Williams. You haven't heard of Kenrich Williams? He's playing great as a hybrid forward in Oklahoma City. Flip Javon Carter and a couple picks. You get a big guy or a wing, whatever you want to call him, who can play with Dario Saric and backup units, even spot you some minutes on the wing. Daniel House, same kind of deal. And now we're getting crazy. Now we're getting a little crazy. Both teams might say no to this one, honestly, because Jalen Smith just got picked in the top 10 and they're giving up another first. But Larry Nance Jr., again, a big who would play with Dario Saric on bench units, could close some games for them, give them another body, a really good playoff player. I think that would be a home run for Phoenix. They're just not getting enough love. They're second in the West. They have a chance to win. Let's go for it. Price be damned. So that's my Phoenix vanity project. Let's move on. One more fake trade. I think we got, who do we have next? We have Miles Turner, Indiana. A lot of volatility in Indiana. Let's trade Miles Turner to Charlotte, who badly needs a center. Cody Zeller in one pick isn't doing it. Let's make it a top 10 protected pick and throw in PJ Washington. So Indiana declutters their center position, gets a really good power forward who has a lot of time left on his rookie contract and a nice pick. Charlotte rounds out its roster with a nice pick and pop partner for LaMelo Ball. Woj, what do you think?
Well, listen, if LaMelo Ball hadn't been injured, hadn't fractured that wrist, and likely be out for the season, listen, that's a deal that could really have propelled Charlotte into, they're the 8th seed when he went out. But I think with Ball out, I think you may see Charlotte retreat, but they've got to improve that center position. And they were trying to be active with that before Ball got hurt.
How about another center from Indiana? And how about a Washington Wizards were desperate to keep Bradley Beal mega trade? Here it is. Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, Ish Smith, some picks for Domantas Sabonis. Seems unlikely, seems crazy, but if you think Beal might stay or you need to do something for him to stay, how about this one?
Look, I said he was balling apart. I think he was.
All right, hold on. We're going to go through this list right here. We're going to go through this. I want to see what y'all ranking because we're going to see. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen.
They're done top 5. I know that. I don't care.
Nah, hold on. We talking about
I know Angel Wilson, man.
I don't even know who that is.
She played center for the Aces.
Okay, we're going to rank.
Look like she like
South Carolina.
Or are we doing a number system, like a 1 to 10 kind of thing, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought this was like a smash or pass.
Yeah, just do that. It's easier. It's easier.
I don't know. I need some meat on the bone.
He's gonna come back if you said smash.
Shorty look like Shawn Michaels.
That's a pass. That's a pass.
Shorty look like Shawn Michaels.
No.
What did look like?
You saying she's ugly?
Heartbreak.
I ain't say she's ugly. I just said it's a pass for me. That ain't my type. Man, I'll chop it down. Y'all crazy.
Hell no. Yeah, I know. It's situational. You know what I mean?
Tell him again, man.
Man, look here, man. That's a pass for me.
Look at y'all being all picky. You 5'6".
I ain't being picky. That's what it is, Lamar. He intimidated by that size.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, what we doing here? What we doing here?
That's a smash. Y'all say y'all pass.
That's a smash. Nah, she a smash. Shorty a little muscular for my taste, but she.
You know, man, get your ass back.
Yeah, I want her a bit out of shape.
She a little too
get her a bit out of shape.
I don't like her.
Get her to McDonald's like a good. I'll still smash.
Diggins, I'm gone.
I still smash.
Yeah,
I got a good workout.
A little too toned up.
Hey, hold on, wait. Hey,
He said
no
grew up
cap.
too toned up. You must be
Hey,
crazy.
no cap, y'all. I'm gonna be close. My daughter's name is Skylar, and I named her after Skylar Dick. So I'm good.
All right, hold on. Next one.
Oh, you girl know that?
Oh, she's great.
Yes, sir.
She's great for the stroke.
Got some
Oh,
ham.
that Cindy, she underrated though.
She got some ham.
I'm gone.
Top. Smash. That's a
Y'all finna sit here and be capping.
All right, hold
man.
on. What about Swin?
I'm gone.
That's a smash. That's swing cash.
That's a shit. It'll have to be one of them late nights. You feel me?
Yeah.
Nobody capping, bro.
We're not doing that. We're not.
Show me 5 girls you done hit. Let me see them.
Uh,
Y'all look at capping. Show me 5.
hey, you see it, Drew in the city, I'll pull up.
He gonna hit you. He gonna hit you with the.
Pack, man.
He gonna hit you with the Lord Ninja. He gonna hit you with the Lord Ninjas light up. He gonna pull them.
SB, all man beast.
Yeah, man. Tell them send it to me, man. Just send me pictures.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
No, bro, I ain't no pictures, bro. I don't
What about
that.
Candace Wiggins?
Wait.
Hell no. This that picture.
I don't like that. That's a
that picture doing bro.
I'm gone.
Yo, I need better pictures. That's why nobody watching the game. That's bad marketing.
Yeah, that's bad marketing.
Nah, that ain't bad marketing.
Y'all like capping, bro.
Yeah, y'all capping on that. Y'all capping.
That's a horrible pic. That's a horrible photo, man.
What about Sue Bird? Sue Bird.
Pass.
No, she ain't
gone.
That's a smash. Smash. That's a smash.
Pass.
She kind of like Anna in that picture.
Oh, that's wrong, man. Come on, man.
Don't do that.
Everybody who passed, and I want to see 5 girls y'all done hit.
Don't do that.
You would hit her, bro.
Nah, I ain't passing. She was very beautiful.
I'm gone.
They better. He gonna be looking like the Incredible Hulk.
Like big.
I'm gonna have to pass on that bit.
So some of y'all done hit the
That hit
Incredible
worse.
Hulk.
I've had, if they don't have a booty, I can't do it though. Seriously.
If you have a booty, I can't stop capping.
Hell no.
I swear to God.
No way.
Hell no.
Smack what? Hold on, man. Y'all crazy, man.
Nah, I don't know.
Hold on.
Y'all crazy,
No,
man.
no,
She's
but I
beautiful.
know.
She's beautiful.
I think this
She
picture
bold.
don't do her justice.
That
Cause
picture
Yo, she might have a
Nah,
crazy
she not.
body.
Y'all tweaking.
She ain't ugly.
Bro,
What about
what?
Adele?
Smash.
I'm gone. I'm sure trying to have a center.
I'm trying to think.
Hell no, bro.
Come
Y'all,
on, man.
y'all serious, bro?
Nah, Sarah
though.
Plain and tall, man. I know you guys are gonna hate,
that's
but
bad.
being honest.
Damn, nigga.
Oh, she
You got
married
some high ass stamps, nigga.
She
Hold on,
married
you
to
said-
LeBron, right?
Hold on, you said she bogus. Who said that?
Shorty is bogus.
Show me.
He's bogus.
You must be crazy.
Sif, let him show his
Elena?
screen to show us facts.
Hey, yo, stand on business and know to everything.
Hey, man, what you got against white? Never mind.
Hey,
Hold on, don't
Oh,
you
you
talk.
must be
I said
that's not for me,
I said,
though. I ain't gonna lie to you, but
Yeah, y'all,
I'm gonna give
man.
him like
You
credit.
tripping
man.
right
Give
there.
credit
Nah,
to
you
do.
tripping right
Nah, I
there.
wouldn't do that either.
What about Jennifer
I'll
Lacey?
take
man,
Shorty, though.
smash up top.
I'm gone.
I'll get her pregnant.
You gone? Where you
I'll
going?
tell
Come
my
back.
wife to
Hey,
Hey,
I'm on that boat.
SB trying to stay.
That's a smash. That's a smash.
This is public information.
You said what happened?
I said, SB trying to stay in your situation. This is public information. You
Word. SB. All playing bad. Don't playing bad.
I was definitely playing, man.
Nah, her body throw. I have to cover.
Hold on. Who's that? Hold on.
Got some ham.
Brittany Jackson.
It'll be a good time.
Let's look her up.
Her body
basketball girl with some titties.
The body's official. Hell yeah, I'll smash that.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
smash. That's
I'm gonna
smash.
cover her face up, though.
I'm gone.
You know what? I'm out of here, man. Just for you saying that. Get out. Just shut your channel down, man.
She a butterhead. She a butterhead. Everything look good, butterhead. You feel me?
I need to see Fast from Stand On Business. I need to see Fast.
You better be messing with all.
I want to see some of yours.
And then you know me, you from the same city, so y'all know that these little.
Hold on,
boppers
but
out
see,
here.
but hold on, but yeah,
Hey,
I
I
know.
get my shorty
Hold on,
from
y'all got
Burns,
some.
bro.
Y'all got
I
some
don't
good.
be messing
Chicago
with no
known.
though.
Chicago known for butter faces.
Oh
No, but I get my shorty. I get my shorty
No.
from La Valita or the suburbs, bro.
Bro, nah. The suburbs is just as bad. They sending them to the suburbs.
Shorties in the suburbs. Is
Man,
good. What you
Chicago's
talking
full of butter faces, man.
Nah, I agree with you. In the city.
You know that for a fact. It's just all body out there. Head be looking crazy.
Nah, these bitches be too aggressive. You feel me?
I'm gone.
Well, they too close to her face. She thorough, I guess. You feel me?
Renee Montgomery pretty as hell.
Smash.
I need to see the body, man.
Smash.
Females, bro.
Come on, dog. I gotta.
Nope. Candace will go.
Nope.
Who
10
said
times
that?
out of 10.
No.
Who said
Where's her? She doesn't have an ass.
I'm
Who
done,
said
man. Who said that? Who said that?
Your tongue down.
I
don't see it.
Hey, I respect his opinion, you feel me? But she thorough, you feel me?
Boy,
No, she's pretty beautiful.
Let her go.
Whoever
she's
said that,
beautiful,
then
though.
you better respect all butter faces. You need to head straight to Chicago if you said you just want butt.
All right, bro, stop.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I did not say that. My brother went to Case Western in Chicago.
You're doing too much.
I've been there. I partied down in Chicago.
And then you know all the girls in Chicago smoke too, so they lips be all purple.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, bro,
Wait, now you're going too far now. Now you're going too far now, bro.
Yeah, you doing too much, bro.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Am I lying?
Not all that.
I mean, I ain't go. Yeah, they smoke, but they
Hold on.
lips ain't
Tayshaun
all
Holmes.
bogus.
Man, when girls get to smoking weed too much, they lips start turning purple as hell out there. All
They
them
be starting
girls-
to them girls be smoking too much.
Man, he was
Whoopi Goldberg lives, boy. Sound like she sucked the charcoal before she came.
She was show the real.
This picture don't do her justice, but she's nice.
Yo, your face is crazy.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. You said you'll pass. I'm gonna show you another picture.
She like she headbutt bricks.
Oh, geez. She got a Honda Accord for her head.
I'm gone.
Goddamn, SB, bro, you passed on everything, didn't it?
No, I didn't. I'm gone. Mean I'm hidden.
Oh,
Hold on. Kayla McBride is not ugly at all.
She is not
Hold up,
ugly.
you guys. Hold up.
Kayla McBride is not ugly at all, man. You
Nah,
must be
she got a
tripping.
strong ass fucking face.
Man, okay.
Yeah, she's
Alright, bro.
it's over though.
True, let me
Y'all
see
tripping.
five. Let me see five of them that you
Concussion
Y'all
protocol.
tripping.
Shorty look like the Crimson
Me
10.
too.
Nah,
Please,
tripping,
me
I ain't
too.
tripping nothing. You tripping? That's my purpose, man. Ain't nothing.
She do that.
And true, you should be used to them strong face. You in the military, you guys should be a whole bunch
Don't
of
do that. Hey, don't
strong
do that.
face.
Don't disrespect me like that. Don't put me out.
Got them crimson chins in the military.
We ain't doing that.
Hey,
We ain't
Shorty
doing
the
that.
real
not
deal.
necessarily
Crimson
true,
10,
but
though.
We ain't doing that. Just a shout out to Sean, man. Back then.
True, you better not show me any girl you hitting. They got a big.
Oh, that's
hell yeah.
great.
I'm
Oh,
gone.
hold up.
She look
What
like
team
Taylor
you play
Rooks.
for?
She look like Taylor Rooks.
Yeah, she looked like the girl from
Indeed.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
That's on go, man. That's on go.
Y'all see what Lamar doing to y'all, right?
Hey, I'm gonna be waiting to hold.
Y'all see what Lamar doing to y'all.
Okay,
I
hold
ain't
on.
gonna be in no bushes, bro. I said,
Hold on.
What you do?
What about Lauren Jackson?
No.
See, y'all see what Lamar, y'all.
I'm not with
capping.
you.
I'm gone.
Y'all,
Y'all capping.
nah, y'all. You see what Lamar doing to y'all, man.
Yeah,
She's
I'm
a
not
model.
gone.
She's a model in real life. This
Yeah,
picture
of course,
don't do it
that's not a
justice.
good picture.
I don't care
I'm
if
not with
Jamal
this getting
like
the Navy
that.
looking
I ain't-
females.
I let her bang me down.
That's Liz Campbell. That's too much makeup.
Okay,
on her.
LC.
Oh yeah, I saw her. Yeah.
Came down a little bit.
Hey man, look, Lamont, I'm gone. Tell her put me in the post. I'm gone.
She got a fat ass.
Put me in
on
the-
top.
Yo, she was
I
drop
think she
step
like
your ass.
girls though.
No, she
It don't
don't.
matter.
No, she don't.
Yes, she do. Shorty got
Hold
a
on.
tattoo.
Hold on.
She
Hold on.
married. She married to a dude.
No, hold on. I just listened to her podcast. Oh, she was talking
She got
about
a
wanting.
podcast.
No, she was doing an interview on somebody's podcast. She was talking about wanting like 5 dudes in her lineup. Like she's
She a
definitely.
busser.
She definitely
Yes,
not. She might be that, but she definitely into
Oh, for
dudes.
going to Vegas. Hey, I don't man the busser.
Man.
They good.
Yeah, she tall. You better tall.
Big
So.
tape.
Oh, she good
Who
for
was
breathing.
That's Gumli K.
She cold though. She cold.
This picture don't do it justice, but she's
I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm straight. I'm straight.
This might be the first one.
No.
I can't do Lisa Leslie either. I'm
Nope.
sorry.
Man, I'm
Y'all
gone.
wild.
The
Y'all
legend.
wilding
You
out.
know what?
She
You
too
know
wild,
what?
bro.
I need that Hall of
Taller than
Fame
me,
action.
bro.
Y'all wild.
Man,
Yeah,
I
Y'all
can't
wild.
go with her.
Y'all
I'm
wild.
at that
I
too.
know it's y'all pick some other ones. See, y'all see,
I'm gone, of course.
All day, all night.
I'm on go.
All day,
take it.
all night.
Hold on, that's her sister. They sisters.
All
They
day,
twins. They play
Yep.
at Stanford at the same
all night.
But they not twins,
I'm
I
on-
don't think.
Yeah.
They got
time.
another
Y'all
sister.
twins.
They got another sister who's there too. She
One
just
of them, they got a set of twins.
All day.
They is twins, bro. They play the same.
How is she number one? I didn't know Abby Bishop.
Abby Bishop number one. That's cap.
She got a little girl, so she like okay.
They got that in vitro.
Renegade, you did not spell that right.
What did he say?
He tried to spell their last name. I think did he spell it right?
No, he did not. Nowhere
You
near.
on this dope, Mike? You on this dope,
Asia
Mike?
Wilson
Nowhere
look
near.
better. Asia Wilson look good.
That was intentional.
For the Aces.
Hey,
Hold on.
how old
Ghost
Julia
in the-
little sister?
Ghost no. Oh, no, don't do that. Hell no.
Hell no, I'm straight.
Yo, Ghost on no.
Hold on, where'd he go? He says Ghost is crazy. He said one pump, one chump.
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine, Manscaped, and their new performance package. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
The NBA trade deadline is a couple of days away. Less than 2 now. About a day and 20 hours and 54 minutes. Keep an eye on the Pelicans' Lonzo Ball. The former UCLA Bruin is averaging career highs in points, field goal percentage, three-point field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. And let's stay with the point guards here. The Raptors' Kyle Lowry would bring a championship experience to a team that's looking for a boost, possibly Philly or Miami. Lowry's Toronto's all-time playoff leader in games, points, assists, three-point field goals, and steals. How about a big man? Aaron Gordon could be on the move after spending 7 seasons in Orlando. The former Arizona Wildcat put up 38 points against the Nets last week. That was the 4th best in his career. Another Magic first-round pick, Victor Oladipo, could be moving from Houston after spending just the last 2 months with the Rockets. Oladipo's averaging nearly 21 points a game this season after coming over from Indiana. NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski joining us now with much more. And where do things stand between Oladipo and the Rockets right now, Woj?
Kevin, Oladipo and the Rockets, I think these are likely the final days of this brief partnership. I know Houston has a level of confidence that there's going to be a deal out there that they'll find actionable between now and Thursday's deadline. And, they'd like to get back some combination of young players, draft picks, and have found that to be available in the marketplace. What's interesting, listen, Oladipo has always had great interest, as have the Miami Heat, about getting together. But Miami and the New York Knicks, which would be a team of interest to Oladipo, they've got enough cap space this summer to go out and sign Oladipo, who would be a free agent. So those two teams, I'm told, they've not been real aggressive in making premium type offers to Houston. It's more along the terms of teams who don't have the cap space could trade for Oladipo and then sign him using his bird rights when he becomes a free agent this summer.
All right, meanwhile, the Raptors have been struggling, 9 games under 500. What's their trade deadline plan here over the next couple days?
Well, Toronto is active on a lot of fronts. Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, both will be free agents at the end of the season. Look, Kyle Lowry, with his history in Toronto, what he's meant to that organization. Masai Ujiri is working with Kyle Lowry, his agent Mark Bartelstein, about where he might want to go if they decide to do a deal. The top of that list, Philadelphia, Miami, both teams have interest in Lowry. I think this goes down to the wire, and Norman Powell, who will be a free agent this summer, he's in line for a big deal. That's another player. They've had talks with multiple teams around the league. I think you could see some significant change around a Raptors team that has spiraled, lost to Houston, ended their 20-game losing streak last night, and this is a Toronto team that I think is on the brink of some change.
All right, more info from Woj in the next couple of days. Also, that Woj low trade deadline special. How about that tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN? Woj, thank you.
Last night, he's putting up Charles Barkley numbers. Yeah, Barkley used to give you things like, it used to feel like Barkley would be like 35 points, 20 boards, and 18 something or others. Who the hell knows? He used to stuff that stat box. Okay, it's not like Julius Randle had 1 million rebounds last night, but he shot better than Bradley Beal. Listen to this. This season, Julius Randle has shot 208 times from 3, made 89. Bradley Beal, 255 times, so he shoots it more often, made 85. That's no joke. Randall outplayed Beal, who had only 22 points. Had a bad game. He was a minus 20. That was the worst in the game. New York played, listen, the Knicks play good defense. Westbrook was 3 of 14. Randall was 7 of 10 from deep. 7 of 10. Of course, it's all those lefty moves. If Julius Randle ever gets a right hand for real, it's going to be a problem. Dude's giving you 37 points. You see the numbers there on ESPN Plus, 37 and 6. Randle is a guy, listen, and I brought up Lonzo Ball earlier. Randle was drafted 7th by the Lakers. Lonzo Ball 2nd. Lonzo Ball, basically the Lakers, forget about just Kentucky guys. They need the old, lottery Lakers draft picks for the Knicks. Trade deadline tomorrow. I'm going to ask you again, should the Knicks make a move? Let me give you a hint. The answer rhymes with yes. I want you to listen to Adrian Wojnarowski on a potential trade or the potential movement of Lonzo Ball at the trade deadline.
Lonzo Ball did not reach agreement with New Orleans on his rookie contract extension before the season. He'd be a restricted free agent after the year. And, I think there's a sense on both sides that a new home would make sense for him. Chicago's a team to watch here. They need a point guard. They have, I think for Ball's side, it's a place with some young talent, Zach LaVine, a group in Chicago under Billy Donovan that you've seen grow this year in his first season as coach. Philadelphia, I know, has reached out. They've been in the market for a point guard. I think Philly's more of a long shot for Lonzo Ball. But I do think that there's a pretty good chance he moves before Thursday's trade deadline. There have, again, been talks with the Bulls. That's certainly going to be one to watch.
Okay.
Lonzo wants like $20 million a year. In this NBA, he's probably worth it. Like, I got to say, the issue with Lonzo, I hear it from Stephen A. all the time. He's not aggressive enough. I don't know. I think Lonzo can lead a fast break. Lonzo can get you easy buckets because he's always looking for his teammates. The ball doesn't stick with him. He plays perimeter defense. He plays defense, period. He rebounds the ball. He's a great passer, great court vision. He reminds me, I think I said this yesterday, of a version of Mark Jackson. I'm trying to remember who it was on First Take yesterday who compared him to Jason Kidd. But, like, those guys, however their talents are pitched, and however, obviously Jason Kidd's the best of that bunch, but those are, like, big, strong point guards with great court vision and not the same kind of fast twitchies maybe as some other guys in the league, and not in Jason Kidd. And all of them came into the league with shooting issues, especially Asen Kidd, right? No J. By the time he won in Dallas, he could shoot. Lonzo was that style in that, like Mark Jackson. Teams that had Mark Jackson, I remember as a Knicks fan, back in the day as a rookie, he was great. But teams who had Mark Jackson used to look to upgrade. It was like, yeah, he's good, but you would focus on the things he couldn't do. The guy wound up with one of the all-time assist leaders instead of what he could do. And I feel like sometimes people do that with Lonzo nowadays. Well, he doesn't have the fast twitchies or the hops as some of the other guys. Lonzo's athletic enough. No, he's not the Aaron Fox fast and all that stuff. But again, I said, what team does Lonzo not fit on? Like, this is the reason I thought the Knicks should have drafted Halliburton instead of Obi Toppin, because he was the kind of guy coming out, Halliburton, could play defense, good big combo guard in the backcourt, could shoot from the outside, just would fit on any team, like would be good in any backcourt. Lonzo, the only thing he was really missing was the outside shot. Every year it's gotten better. And same from the free throw line, which is really a better indicator of future performance than anything else in terms of shooting. No, I don't see where Lonzo doesn't fit, but particularly on the Knicks, where he could grow with that team, you know, grow with Quickly and Julius Randle and all those guys, and be a real floor general. He is. The Knicks have some draft capital. They have some cap maneuverability. To me, Lonzo makes a lot of sense.
I'm furious!
I ain't never seen so many niggas infatuated with how niggas look, dog. But all right.
Nah, you always.
You was gonna bake your little potato head ass.
You talk, hey, I know you ain't talking about nobody with that damn mic up to your chin like that. Shut the fuck up, nigga.
Hey, I bet you can't turn. You bet you can't turn your head left or right either. No neck.
I can't tell you I can, nigga. You talking about I look like I'm light skinned from my picture, nigga. At least I don't look gay.
He said you can't turn left and right.
I gotta turn all the way around.
Hey, if your every time I turn the camera on right now, we want some lettuce.
That's how I look at Raphael.
Hey, True, I told you who you look like, True. Chill out, boy.
True would look like a black.
You go, my cousin.
He said he can't turn left and right. Damn. He said get no mic on the panel.
Yeah, stand up business. Why you turn your camera on?
He ain't in there.
It's nothing, bro. What up?
Oh, you bald on
this nigga light skinned. He's light skinned in that motherfucker.
Hey, man, I'm Cubano, boy. Stop playing on me,
Cubano,
Hey,
look,
you cannot. Hey,
look, everybody, you can't be gay backing all the time. Chicago, they get ready to gay back.
Your voice don't match your body.
That man,
your voice don't match your body.
That man look like an uncle and a nephew.
Nah, that nigga look like Tito. Nah, that nigga look like Tito from
Hey, stop playing on me, though.
DJ Augustine.
the jersey on.
Nah, hold up. Nah, what's the nigga from Slaughterhouse, dog?
Joe Budden.
Oh, Joel Ortiz.
Joel Ortiz.
Oh, shit. He is skinnier Joel Ortiz.
Oh, man.
Hey, yo, Matthew. Chill out, Matthew. Chill out.
Look at him, man. He said we trying to size each other up, man. What is you talking about, man?
You out of pocket.
What's your first name, nigga? Shoshana, nigga? Fuck out of here. You gonna talk about somebody, your first name Shoshana, nigga? You got a bitch name, nigga? Fuck out of here.
Hey, Jared, hold on, wait, Jared, you trying to flame your ass like dude with the glasses off Player Club?
Hey, man,
sure
ain't nobody on damn Carlos Booze. I'm gonna flame your ass.
You said like Carlos.
Hey, Bosley.
He said Carlos.
Hold up, Natalie, you doing all that talking? You ain't even got a profile picture. You
like a boxer.
Natalie, probably like smoke school.
Nah, y'all can't mess with Natalie.
Hey, yo, Ray.
Yes, we can. She ain't got no profile picture or nothing.
Hey, yo, Ray said SOB like
Fred Van Vliet.
Hey, fuck y'all niggas, man.
Yeah, your voice don't match your body.
That's how he can turn his camera on. Offensive lineman looking out.
I said, nigga, I ain't never denied I'm big, nigga. I said I'm 6'3", 12.
Best world for
At least I ain't got no microphone up to my jawline,
She said she sleep. She said she's sleeping, man.
Yeah, I know you sleep.
I'm just playing. You always sleep.
It's cool.
Up there, hey, True, you like that nigga? Hey, True.
He said I see a black.
Oh no, wait. Zoom in on Renegade picture. Wiz Khalifa looking out.
That man like Hurricane Chris.
Hey, boy.
That's my first see that picture, man.
That motherfucking chin long as hell.
Yo, you say Hurricane Chris? Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Have you had a chance to look at the Johnson account?
Not yet. I've just been playing catch up from last.
Is this guy bothering you?
No, I was just...
Hey, she said she's not interested, okay, guy? I mean, this is a workplace, Chief. How about a little, I don't know, professionalism? Maybe we need to take this outside, because...
Bush out of control? Tame it with the Lawnmower 3.0, featuring skin-safe technology.
Sorry, guys.
Order today at manscaped.com and receive free shipping, boxer briefs, and a travel bag.
We begin today with some well-known names being floated in advance of tomorrow's NBA trade deadline. The Raptors are reportedly dangling Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell. The Pelicans are apparently open to dealing Lonzo Ball. Aaron Gordon is asked out of Orlando. Victor Oladipo looks to be out of Houston. And the Spurs are said to be open to trading DeMar DeRozan. Frank, what deal do you think could change the title picture the most?
You know what, Mike? For me, the one player that can kind of take that team from here and raise it up just a little bit more is Kyle Lowry. You put him on Philadelphia, you put him on Miami, the Clippers, the Lakers. He's a difference maker. It's almost Chris Paul light. The leadership he gives you. We know that he's been in big playoff games before. He can knock down big shots. I had heard he's intrigued with Miami. And Kyle's a smart guy. He's looking to set it up where if you're going to trade me, I want to get paid once I get there. But I've also heard that Toronto isn't just going to pacify him by letting him go and not getting something in return. So they're looking to make a deal, and rightfully so, which is good for them because, as you know, the wheels have fallen off Toronto. 9 losses in a row. Siakam is fighting with the head coach, Nick Nurse. This thing has been a mess.
It has been. Frank, listen. They're not going to contend this year. They had to know that to a degree. Masai, of course, knew that coming into this year. And part of that approach is what do you do with Kyle Lowry and what can you get back for him? But let me go over some of these other things. Look, I mean, I like every player on that list. I don't understand why the Celtics seem, I don't know, all that interested, maybe even preoccupied in Aaron Gordon. I'm not sure that the Celtics can make an acquisition at the trade deadline that's going to turn around their unbelievably disappointing season. But when I look at this list, I see guys that can help a team change the title picture. I don't see that. Even though DeMar DeRozan, he's still got some gas in the tank. I think at 31 years old now. Oladipo can help several teams. But I am with you. Mr. Lowry's the guy. And by the way, yes, Philadelphia, his hometown, has to be interested. Miami's going to gauge, what it can do to perhaps acquire him. But what are the Clippers waiting for, Frank? That's a team that has a glaring need, the same glaring need it had last year. And I'm not talking about the one where you can fix voices and chemistry if that was an issue. But you can fix the point guard situation, the lead guard situation if you're the Clippers. We just saw it a year and a half ago. We know what Lowry can do. You mentioned leadership. He brings that. I mean, abundanza. If the Clippers aren't all in trying to get Lowry, I don't know. I mean, Lonzo Ball can help people later. When he's a 35-year-old veteran and he's got the savvy and multiple trips to the playoffs and all of that, that's one thing. But I don't see anybody, and that's why I don't think there's a rush. It's not a gold rush right now at the trade deadline because I don't see one person other than Lowry who can make that kind of difference.
And, if you put Lowry with the Clippers, he's back with Kawhi Leonard. He's back with Serge Ibaka. My thing about Oladipo, he's kind of struggled through injuries, and he is on a team that just lost 20 straight games. So I don't know if he elevates you that much. Always remember this, though, Michael. There is one team that is going to make an addition which isn't technically a trade, and that's the Nets getting back Kevin Durant. So you see the role that they've been on with James Harden. They're going to add a top 3 player in the league. Nobody can beat them now. And Kevin Durant isn't playing.
And
so every move in the East that you're making, remember that eventually Kevin Durant is coming back to play.
Real quickly, too, the Bucks already made their deal getting P.J. Tucker, which I think is a really, really good addition. And the Suns, you look at what Torrey Craig did just last night on the road, helped take down Miami. I mean, Torrey Craig's a guy who you're still going, wait a minute, he's in Denver, is he in Milwaukee? He's on the Suns now. They made their deal, too. I was angry about the Suns not getting P.J. Tucker back. And then you look at Torrey Craig, you go, wait a minute. James Jones may have done a really important thing here for that team down the stretch.
And you're right about the Bucks, though. Getting Drew Holiday the offseason, and now, of course, P.J. Tucker.
Right. If you win an MVP, you're an MVP. If you're an all-star, you're an all-star. But, what is this superstar y'all keep throwing out or not?
I don't understand. I don't really care if he considers me that or people consider me that or not. But like,
hold on. Not to cut you off. Where have I been at? When is all of this going down?
It was today, bro. So I just saw the tweet, and I basically told him, I was like, bro, I don't believe in nothing about you. You a clown, basically. And then I was just like, you the same person who I had a private conversation with, and he backpedaled the whole time, bro. He didn't stand on nothing that he said when we was on the phone. He just was like, I could just really make him look bad right now, but I ain't gonna do that. But he backpedaled the whole time, bro, on the phone.
But why would you expect anything else from that? You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't expect. I wouldn't even say I expected anything different. But I said one thing on Twitter, like way back when I was like, I'm not playing if we can't make the playoffs. And somebody else said, I was entitled or spoiled or whatever. And I went in on him like, bruh, shut up, whatever. Don't stop speaking on me. And then I was like, Skip, we can talk if he want to talk. So he seeked out my number and called me. And when he called me, I was just like, bro, I don't know you like that. Like, you don't owe me no explanation. I don't know you. Stop speaking on me incorrect. Like, for your ratings or whatever. And he just backed out on some, I'm depressed. And
listen, man, people got to tell their vision. That's what television is for, man. It's their vision. It ain't your vision. It's something that they already done put down. They got to go back and forth. They got to debate. It is what it is, man. We're gonna take your Twitter from you, man.
Hey, man, whatever.
You got Twitter fingers.
I got Twitter fingers and I got real fingers too, bro. I be trying to, how people be like, man, stop going down to their level. You don't got to say nothing. Just ignore them. I be like, bro, I could ignore them, but like, I be having time, bro.
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine, Manscaped, and their new performance package. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
He's gotten better offensively. If he went to the Apple with that pressure and how LaMelo is playing, I think he gonna take his game to a whole nother
the pressure on Tinseltown and the bright lights with Jack this court side was one of the reasons he wasn't looking so great in LA.
No, let's be honest. When LeBron got hurt, Magic, tell him, when LeBron got hurt, actually the team was still functioning until Lonzo went out. That's when it fell apart.
I'm trying to tell Stephen A. He's looking at the offensive numbers too much. Yes, De'Aaron Fox is going to always score more than Lonzo Ball. That is not Lonzo's role. It's to score. But his all-around game is just as good as De'Aaron Fox's all-around game.
I got him. See, Magic, here's the deal. Because when Magic, even though Magic could slow the ball up and what have you, what was Magic? What did Magic personify? Showtime. Magic could pass. Magic's greatest pass in NBA history, greatest point guard in NBA history. But you fueled an offense. You didn't benefit from dudes playing the right way and just, okay, as a result, I'll get mine. No, you fueled it. You were the straw that stirred the cup. That's what we need from the point guard position. You can't tell me that's Lonzo. I respect his game. He's not a scrub. And I'm not saying he doesn't belong in the NBA, but y'all acting like this dude is the missing piece, like the second coming or something. What's going on, Magic? What's going on?
You got it wrong. Listen, the Knicks are building something.
Yes.
They're taking step by step by step.
I agree with that.
And you have to do that with young basketball players. Julius Randle is a young, emerging superstar, right? And so you need young guys with him. Now, Lonzo Ball already knows how to play with Julius Randle because they did that with the Lakers. So actually, it would be a
they were
good
babies.
Really?
move
Yeah,
for
they
the
were
Knicks.
babies.
See, they just didn't know how to play. They didn't know how to work out. They didn't understand the time that they needed to put into the game. Look at what Julius did. He can now shoot from the three-point line. He couldn't do that with the Lakers, but he put the time in. That's why he made the All-Star team this year. And so we had a lot of babies at that time. Look what Jordan Clarkson is doing now for Utah Jazz. He's going to win the Sixth Man of the Year award. The things he can do now, he couldn't do when he was with the Lakers. So guys do improve. Hey, and the last guy, look at what happened with man, I'm thinking about his name. I'm forgetting his name.
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram. Look what happened to him when he left Los Angeles. He matured, and now look, he's an
You know what the
all-star
problem is,
now.
Magic? You know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? You spoiled Stephen A. He expects every 19-year-old rookie to come out and drop 40 in the finals and be the MVP of the finals. Will you stop it? These were babies when Magic drafted them. 19, 20 years old. Not everyone's Magic Johnson.
Don't judge a boxing.
You hear
Stop
Magic?
it.
You hear
Stop
him? He's mad because Lonzo Ball's not Magic Johnson.
Magic, let me get to that. I'll be at Magic Johnson Enterprises to talk to you about this.
Have you had a chance to look at the Johnson account?
Not yet. I've just been playing catch up from last.
Is this guy bothering you?
No, I was just...
Hey, she said she's not interested, okay, guy? I mean, this is a workplace, Chief. How about a little, I don't know, professionalism? Maybe we need to take this outside, because...
Bush out of control? Tame it with the Lawnmower 3.0, featuring skin-safe technology.
Sorry, guys.
Order today at manscaped.com and receive free shipping, boxer briefs, and a travel bag.
And that will do it. A wild finish, bizarre finish. Knicks doing some great things defensively down the stretch, but Julius Randle turned it over. He still wants more of an explanation. And Randle very upset after being pushed away by his teammates. And they're smart to get him away. The emotion's high for Julius Randle, who played brilliantly with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. But the Knicks fall short.
I love everything about that. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I actually loved what I just saw, every second of it. Because it proves there's indeed a culture change going on with the New York Knicks. It's actually happened. They actually care. Most every Knicks team in the last 2 decades would have just walked off the damn court last night. Why? Because they expected to lose. That's why. They expected to fail. But not this Knicks team. They play hard every night. They play tough every night. They defend. They are number 1 in the NBA in defense. Number 1! And they don't back down to anybody. I'll tell you straight out, I love this Knicks team. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. But I'd love it even more if they actually had some damn talent. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Tiny bit. Maybe someone like, I don't know, Zach LaVine? How about that guy? The Bulls aren't going anywhere. But my Knicks with Zach LaVine in the midst of a career year, dunking all over people, added to Julius Randle and the crew. I can wish, can I? Am I not allowed to dream? And let me say this. We saw last night that my Knicks are not a team the Brooklyn Nets actually want to face in the playoffs. I'll tell you why. I know that sounds sacrilegious. I know that sounds blasphemous, but I'm going to tell you why. All the expectations would be on the Nets. KD, Kyrie, James Harden, more so KD and Kyrie because they chose Brooklyn over Madison Square Garden. You go up against the Knicks and you lose, Lord, it wouldn't get any worse than that. Even Spike Lee wouldn't pick the Knicks. But if they made it a series, my Lord, Madison Square Garden, maybe even packed, and half the crowd at the Barclays cheering for the Knicks too, those Nets palms might possibly get sweaty fast. And if they lost, they'd never live it down. Never. KD, Kyrie, not so much James Harden, but KD, Kyrie would have to pack up and leave town forever. Now I return to reality. That ain't gonna happen. We know better. But it's possible, especially if the Knicks got Zach LaVine. Please, World Wide West, Leon Rose, Scott Perry, what's up? What's up? Zach LaVine, get that brother. I like him.
Is Kyle Lowry the biggest name you think that could be moved, or is there maybe a name we're not talking about that we should keep our eye on?
Not that I've heard. I think right now the Toronto Raptors pretty much control the market, control the trade deadline, because not only do they have Kyle Lowry, but they also have Norman Powell, who's a very high-value rental player. He's having the best year of his career. He's averaging 20 points a game. He's shooting 45% on threes. And, you know, he's a wing player who defends. I mean, those are the most difficult players to acquire a lot of times. So it'd be one thing if they just had Powell. They have Powell and Lowry. So my guess is that, you know, for a certain segment of the people involved in this deadline, you know, they're going to control it. And they won't nobody will move until they move for a certain group of the teams. And then after that, it'll be the Orlando Magic, who, again, are looking at maybe trading 2 starter players, sub-all-stars, sub-all-stars in Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, but players that teams that are competing, you know, those are starter-level players. So I think we'll see a handful of those starter-level players go. The other guy that I'm watching that's interesting, not necessarily for this season, but longer term, is Lonzo Ball. I think those 3 situations are the ones we're going to end up talking about a lot tomorrow.
Now, is Lonzo Ball and Lowry in contention for the same team, saying that, okay, if one can't get Lonzo, that they'll prefer Lowry, or is it vice versa? Are they pretty much contending for the same teams?
No, Bart, because the teams interested in Lowry are Miami and Philly. Those are teams trying to win the championship this year or next, trading for a 25 or a 35-year-old player. In fact, Kyle's birthday is tomorrow. He's probably going to get traded on his birthday. You know, with Lonzo, you're trading him to make him your franchise point guard, or maybe you can play him next to a point guard off the ball, but you're a franchise level player, because you're going to sign him to a pretty significant extension this summer. That's why you would trade for him, because you wouldn't do it in the summer. So the teams that are interested in Lonzo, it's a different collection of teams.
Could I ask you if you've heard anything about the Knicks being a team involved in Lonzo Ball? I think he'd be a great fit with that group, just personality-wise, and also that they're so desperately need a playmaker at point. They have guys who are scoring. The Derrick Rose can score. Emmanuel Quickly's proving he can score, but neither one really is an organizer, as a playmaker. And he's not being used as such right now with Stan Van Gundy, but we know that he has that in his skill set. So do you see a connection there at all between the two?
I have indeed heard that the Knicks are one of the teams interested. The Knicks have an interesting toolbox in this market, because they have extra picks, 2 firsts in this draft, and the Detroit Pistons second, which is going to be in the top 3 or 4 of the second round, that's a valued spot in the NBA, because you don't have to pay the first round guarantee, and it's almost the same spot. And that's a valuable pick. Plus, they have salary cap space, which means they could make a lopsided trade. They can take more money off your plate than you're sending out, which some teams find interesting, and the Pelicans are one of those teams. Whether or not they can win a talent bidding war, I don't think the players that the Knicks would be willing to trade. I think that the Pelicans can do better elsewhere. But if getting rid of money is a priority for the Pelicans, and I do think that's on their menu, if they could take another salary back along with Lonzo with that cap space, I think then you could get something interesting. But again, I've heard 5-6 teams making an offer for Lonzo Ball. I don't know where the Knicks would rank in that list.
Are the Knicks and the Nets? Are the Lakers and the Nets just in the buyout market? They're going to wait this thing out. They're not going to make any moves.
No, they're both trying to make trades. How realistic it is, I don't know. The Lakers have been dangling Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out there. You know, one of the things that happens in the buyout market, this is a lesson that we learn every year. Certain people make assumptions in the buyout market, and then something happens in the trade market that changes everything, and the buyout market changes. So it's very dangerous to make assumptions on the buyout market. So let me give you an example. the Miami Heat are in negotiations to get Kyle Lowry. I don't know if they will get him or not, but if they're going to trade for a guy like Kyle Lowry who makes $30 million, it's going to take 3 or 4 players going out from Miami to get Kyle Lowry back. That means that if that trade happens, they will have potentially 2 or 3 extra roster spots that they don't have today. Well, now all of a sudden, if the Miami Heat have Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo in 2 roster spots, that changes the game on things. All of a sudden, maybe Andre Drummond, who was looking at the Lakers, might start looking at the Miami Heat. Maybe LaMarcus Aldridge and Andre Drummond can go there. So I don't know if any of that will happen. I'm just saying that you got to be careful assuming the buyout market. So I think both the Lakers and Nets have tried to investigate anything that they can do in the trade market to not just assume that they're going to be able to get another player in buyout. The Nets have been offering Spencer Dinwiddie around, even though he's out for the year. A lot of people like him, see him as a valued player and would want to re-sign him. He only partially tore the Achilles or the ACL. He didn't have a full tear, which means his recovery, in theory, should be stronger. So I think there's a decent chance they could trade him to get a quality player, and they're one of the teams that's interested in Norman Powell. So again, I think there's a half a dozen teams that have interest in Norman Powell, and I don't know where the Nets rank in terms of their offer compared to the others, but they're in the game there for sure.
Y'all got it today. Y'all got it today. All right, see me tomorrow. I ain't got no comeback for that joke, but they're
Hey, yo,
going
I
to
know
tomorrow.
how you move, SB, too, though. SB, be careful, man.
No, you won't. I got a lot of jokes. I'm just letting y'all.
You got a shower? Yo, what are you doing?
Yo, Jared, what you doing?
Yo,
boy?
Hey, man, cut your camera off, dog.
Yo,
man. Cut your camera off, dog.
bed?
No, man, that's the mattress sheet.
Hey, Lamar, you gotta stop letting some niggas
You wasn't
in the
sleeping on
chat,
your mattress,
dog.
bear boy.
This nigga is trapped.
This man been beating his meat on the stream, man. Hell no.
Yeah, come on, man. We can go. Let's go ahead and shut the channel down, Lamar.
Y'all niggas done woke me up. Hell no.
No, man.
Hey, how did you come in? How did you come in right when you started talking about it?
Because nigga, I was listening to y'all. I've been in and out of my sleep all night. And I had
Right, with your Kirby head ass.
Hey, first of all, any nigga with a mic between his mouth, there, can't even talk
Look,
about
that joke going right now. I got regular jokes today. So that joke going right now. That's what I said.
Leave
Y'all
me
got
alone,
this.
you heard? I ain't talking about nobody until you change your avatar, nigga. Fuck out of
That
here.
ain't gonna change with your brick head ass.
Hey, literally, nigga, speaking to the mic, nigga. Fuck out of here.
Oh,
Speaking to the mic.
good.
To the mic, nigga, yeah.
Oh man, he said Kirby head.
Mike, I know you ain't talking with your big forehead ass.
Hold on, were you talking about this Kirby?
Yeah, that Kirby.
Kirby ain't got no dick.
He ain't got no. That's the point. That sounds like a Black Peter Griffin.
Cleveland Brown ass.
He looking. Fuck you mean I got? Fuck you mean I ain't got no?
Apple, nigga, fuck you talking about?
That meant like smoke. That meant like big smoke over.
Hey, true. This how Anti took that picture. Fuck you mean I ain't got no neck?
True. Don't you talk about nobody, nigga. I told you, look like old boy from Paid in Full, nigga. Calvin.
His ass
He had
like
glasses on.
And Celtics, they have been in a funk. They've spent the last month and a half hovering around 500. Recent bad losses to the Cavs, to the Kings. Now, we know Danny Ainge is going to be attached to almost every trade rumor out there. But, Jackie, how should the Celtics shake things up at the deadline? Because Brian Windhorst was on the show yesterday and says he believes that Marcus Smart would be available in an Aaron Gordon trade, which, of course, has gotten a lot of Celtics faithful very concerned.
Right. So
Listen, the Celtics have to do something. And as you know, in-season trades for Danny Ainge, not the norm. The last big one he made was 2015 when he brought Isaiah Thomas over. This team has to do something. There's a malaise over this team. They're one of the worst fourth-quarter teams in basketball. And also, more importantly to me, there's a restlessness about this team. You've got two young stars that are saying, hey, man, I need some help. So you've got to get them help. I don't know about the Marcus Smart part. I respect Brian's reporting very much. What my intel tells me is they would prefer to use draft picks and a young player, a draft pick and a young player, to get Aaron Gordon free. Of course, they don't want to trade Marcus Smart because he's often been called the heartbeat of that team, and I think that's an accurate description in many ways. What I'm interested to see is, do they try to expand that trade and have it Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, who's on an expiring contract? They need shooting. They need a big defensive wing that can guard out there on the perimeter, things they have not had since Gordon Hayward left last summer. So I'll be absolutely shocked if they don't do anything. This is not one of those times. Here's the difference, though. Usually Danny Ainge has a treasure trove of draft picks. Not this time, Rachel. As you know, they have their own picks and some protected second-round picks, but they don't have the abundance of first-round picks that they've had in the past, and yet they've got to do something to shake up this team because this team is drowning.
Yeah, it's tough because you expect guys like Jaylen Brown, like you said, you want an Aaron Gordon to help with the bigger defense. But, that's what, Jaylen Brown was turning to. I'm not saying that he's turning to more of an offensive focus, but, his offensive numbers have been through the roof. He was an all-star this year. Not having that versatility down the line, not having Gordon Hayward, people don't understand the value that he brought to the game. But I just think, I don't know, when there was John Collins, there's Biggs, there's people that they're talking about, but Marcus Smart, it's hard to find players. You can fill a need, you can fill a big, you can fill shooting, but how often do you find, we got to find some heart and toughness? And that's what Marcus Smart brings. So I just think you try and do everything you can to avoid giving him up.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will, by the way. But
they
have,
I don't think Marcus Smart.
You don't, Jackie?
I don't think Marcus Smart is going straight out with Aaron Gordon. I really don't believe. I don't think in the end that's what they'll do. I think they'll try use a draft pick, maybe 2 first-round picks if they have to, but I think they prefer a first-round pick and a young player, maybe like Aaron Nesmith or something like that.
I think you see, obviously how important Gordon Hayward was to this team. Obviously, he wasn't the scorer he was in Utah with this team, but he was very important on both ends. But also at the same time, if you look at this roster, outside of Gordon Hayward, they still have a very solid roster. And Jackie, when you say restlessness, some of that lies on the coach. And you see over in Atlanta what Nate McMillan's been able to do with this Hawks team. They're 8-1 since him taking over. Does some of this fall on the coach's shoulders? I know with Gordon Hayward over there were some rumblings in the locker room about favoritism, and maybe Brad Stevens isn't the guy that's going to be holding guys accountable and really making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing on the court. I like this team. I trust Danny Ainge and his moves, but at the same time, I think some of this lies on Brad Stevens, and sometimes the new voice in the locker room helps a lot.
Jackie, what's the pressure on Brad Stevens right now in Boston?
Yeah, I think when teams lose, everyone has to take responsibility. And of course, if your team isn't performing in the fourth quarter, some of that falls on the coach. This is the one thing I tell everybody about Brad Stevens, though. One of the criticisms has been, well, he doesn't get in their faces. He doesn't show emotion. And I can tell you from talking to these players, what you see out on the court, what you see on your television broadcast is not necessarily what's happening. There are times when guys come off the court and he's under his breath saying, you really messed that up. We're going to, so to say that Brad Stevens isn't trying to motivate them, that isn't holding them accountable, I don't really think that's entirely accurate. I'm not sure that, in my mind anyway, Brad Stevens isn't your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is you need wing defenders, you need better shooters, you need help for these two young guys who are playing too many minutes now with Jaylen Brown, by the way, with a knee that is a little cranky from time to time.
So many niggas infatuated with how niggas look, dog. But
it was gonna bake your little potato head ass.
I know you ain't talking about nobody with that damn mic up to your chin like that. Shut the fuck up, nigga.
Hey, I bet you can't turn your head left or right either. No neck.
I can't tell you I can, nigga. You talking about I look like I'm light skinned from my picture, nigga. At least I don't look gay.
said you can't turn left and right.
Anti got to turn all the way around.
Hey, if your anti-curse came on right now, he's gonna fry over some lettuce.
Anti look at Raphael.
Hey, True, I told you who you look like, True. Chill out, boy.
True would look like a black.
You go, my cousin.
He said he can't turn left and right. Damn. He said get no mic on the panel.
Yeah, stand up business. Why did you turn your camera on?
He ain't in here.
It's nothing, bro. What up?
Oh, you bald.
Oh, this nigga light skinned. He's light skinned in the office.
Hey, man, I'm Cubano, boy. Stop playing with me.
Cubano, yeah, look.
You cannot. Hey,
look, everybody can't be gay bagging all the time. Chicago, they get rid of gay bagging.
Your voice don't match your body.
That man,
Your voice don't match your body.
That man look like Uncle in
Nah, that nigga look like Tito. Nah, that nigga look like Tito. Come on.
Hey, stop playing with me, though.
DJ Augustine.
He got the jersey on.
Nah, hold up. Nah, what's the nigga from Slaughterhouse, dog?
Joe
Oh, Joel Ortiz.
Yeah, Joel Ortiz. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the skinnier Joel Ortiz.
Oh, man.
Hey, yo, Matthew. Chill out, Matthew. Chill out.
Look at him, man. He said we trying to size each other up, man. What is you talking about, man?
You are
What's your first name, nigga? Shoshana, nigga? Fuck out of here. You gonna talk about somebody, your first name Shoshana, nigga? You got a bitch name, nigga? Fuck out of here.
Hey, Jared, hold on, wait, Jared, you trying to flame your head like dude with the glasses off Player Club?
Hey, man, ain't nobody on damn Carlos Cruz. I'm gonna flame your ass.
She said like Carlos.
Hey, Bobby.
He said Carlos.
Hold up, Natalie, you doing all that talking, you ain't even got a profile picture. You
like a boxer.
Natalie, probably like smoke.
Nah, y'all can't mess with Natalie.
Hey, yo, Ray.
She ain't got no profile picture or nothing, man.
Hey, yo, Ray said SOB like
Fred Van Vliet.
Hey, fuck y'all niggas, man.
Yeah, your voice don't match your body.
That's how he can turn his camera on. Offensive lineman looking out.
I said, nigga, I ain't never denied I'm big, nigga. I said I'm 6'3", 12.
Best world for
At least I ain't got no microphone up to my jawline, nigga.
She said she sleep. She said she's sleeping, man.
Yeah, I know you sleep,
no,
man. Yeah.
You always sleeping.
It's cool.
Up there, hey, True, you like that nigga? Hey, True.
He said I said black as shit.
Oh no, wait, zoom in on Renegade picture. Wiz Khalifa looking out.
That man like her King Chris. I love her. Hey, boy. That's my first see that picture, man.
That motherfucking chin long as hell.
Dude, you say
hey, baby,
Chris?
Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Have you had a chance to look at the Johnson account?
Not yet. I've just been playing catch up from last.
Is this guy bothering you?
No, I was just...
Hey, she said she's not interested, okay, guy? I mean, this is a workplace, Chief. How about a little, I don't know, professionalism? Maybe we need to take this outside, because...
Bush out of control? Tame it with the Lawnmower 3.0, featuring skin-safe technology.
Sorry, guys.
Order today at manscaped.com and receive free shipping, boxer briefs, and a travel bag.
Coming off the trade, how much pressure is on Giannis and the Bucks to win the East?
Well, are you ready for this? I think the pressure is actually on everyone else. I think the pressure is on the Bucks organization. They want to keep Giannis. Oh, he just signed an extension. Don't tell me that. Superstars can choose where they go after they sign their max extension. Look at James Harden. It just happened. It just happened. Anthony Davis forced his way out. James Harden forced his way out. If eventually Giannis gets fed up, he can force his way out. That's number one. Number two, in a league where you don't have other super teams, and by super teams, let me be very clear. I mean one MVP player linking up with another MVP caliber player, and then, God forbid, you have another all-star plus type player like the Nets do. In a league like that, if you are the only MVP caliber player on your team, there's no one else on your level, particularly if you're a big, The history of the league says you're not going to win. Kareem didn't do it, just didn't do it. Shaq didn't do it. Even Penny wasn't enough. He needed a prime Kobe and then a prime Dwayne Wade. Kareem needed a prime Oscar Robertson and then a prime Magic Johnson. They never won a championship without that. Guys on their level who weren't bigs. Other MVP caliber players. Hakeem won one without that because Jordan wasn't in the league that year. So he played another big without that. Patrick Ewing, and he was a little bit better, right? Had a little bit of better team. Barely won in 7 games. No. Great bigs especially, but really any great player needs another superstar player to win in a league where other teams like that exist. What other teams? Well, the Lakers, LeBron and AD. The Nets, KD and Harden and Kyrie. No, PJ Tucker's a very good player, and he's a nice complementary piece. Chris Middleton's a good two-way guard and sometimes an all-star. Love me some Drew Holiday. None of those dudes is, say, a Bradley Beal. And even Bradley Beal is not quite what I'm talking about, if I'm being honest. It's not James Harden, for example, who KD and Kyrie now have. And because of that, the pressure is not on Giannis to get out of the East like it's on KD and the Nets, like it's on LeBron and AD and the Lakers.
First of all, a couple of things. Number one, I don't want to hear about pressure with LeBron and AD. They're the reigning, defending NBA champions. They answered the call. He delivered a chip back to Southern California, the purple and gold, Los Angeles. It would be nice for him to win again, and the expectation is for them to be in the mix. But the bottom line is there's no pressure. LeBron and AD answered that call. I wouldn't say zero pressure, but there's really minimal pressure. They answered. Well, I'm saying the Lakers are the Lakers fans because they got 17. They're spoiled. But the point is that the bottom line is they've already won. They delivered the chip. Okay. As it pertains to Milwaukee, I think PJ Tucker is an upgrade. I think he's smart. I think he's tough. I think his ability to defend along with Drew Holiday and Giannis makes them incredibly formidable. And while I would not say that they're under more pressure than Brooklyn, they're definitely under immense pressure. As an aside, I just want to throw this to you, KP, Kendrick Perkins. I got something else on my mind to you and Max. And I just want to say this, and this has nothing to do with the question whatsoever. But it's on my mind, it's on my heart. I got to say this. I'm incredibly sad and depressed for Stephen Silas. You wait 20 years as an assistant coach to become a head coach.
Yeah.
You're 11-10 at the time when even after James Harden leaves, because James Harden didn't come in and shape me wanted to be out and what have you, okay? And you have lost 18 straight. There's no Harden. Christian Wood's been out. DeMarcus Cousins gone. Victor Oladipo, he wants to be gone. PJ Tucker is now gone. And listen, Steve Nash is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He's doing a damn good job in Brooklyn. I wish him nothing but the best. But I don't know about the rest of y'all. It just saddens me that the man never coached on any level, and you inherit Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie with James Harden soon to join. But Stephen Silas, everybody's gone. It's got nothing to work with. And what we're going to see now is an 18-game losing streak. And counting.
Not his fault.
It's not his fault. It just saddens me. I just wanted to say that, KP. Go ahead, man.
Well, to your point, Stephen, it's been happening for a while now. If you look at the situation, and I'm going to get on the Giannis topic in a second, but if you look at the situation with Golden State and our brother Mark Jackson, who helped build that foundation and that culture, and then all of a sudden he loses his job, and Steve Kerr walks right on into a gold mine and takes over. Now all of a sudden he's the hero. Okay, look at the situation with Toronto, and when Dwayne Casey was fired for not being able, after winning Coach of the Year, by the way, was
in
fired
59
and let
games.
Go,
yeah,
because he could not get past LeBron James, which I don't care who was coaching that Toronto Raptor team at the time. They wouldn't have got past LeBron James. Fire him. LeBron James goes to the Western Conference. All of a sudden, Nick Nurse, and I'm not discrediting Nick Nurse, but I'm just telling you the cycle. That's what's going on right now. All of a sudden, Nick Nurse take over the Raptors. They trade for Kawhi. All of a sudden, Nick Nurse is the best thing since sliced bread. It's a cycle that's going on. We're watching it. We're watching the African, on another standpoint, you're watching the African-American brothers come in and establish this culture, this identity, and they're not being able to reap the benefits when it's all said and done. Now to Max, to your topic about Giannis. Every single time I get on here, you are always giving him a cop-out. Always. It's only 3 people in the history of the NBA that has won the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year award in the same year. Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Giannis. And you're going to sit up here and tell me that the pressure is on the organization and not Giannis when the organization has done everything to build, to upgrade the roster and put pieces around them.
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine, Manscaped, and their new performance package. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
The camera challenge. Hey, Renegade, you gotta get anti-second. It takes like 3 seconds to turn his body because he can't turn his neck. So hit the button.
Nick, nigga. Oh, Nick.
All right, on 3.
Hey, Lamar, you know what? I ain't no pussy, dog. Put me on the big screen, nigga.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, Lamar's gonna screenshot this shit.
What's down?
Oh God! I'm out.
Nick, yeah.
He slugged up, you heard me?
Yeah, now where your camera at, bitch? Camera in a big ass bag, you heard me? Yeah. Mouth full of gold, nigga. Yeah, what's up?
Them permanent, shorty?
Yeah, what's up?
Do the slugs in the water. They don't do that pull out shit.
Ain't nothing fake around here, bitch. Yeah, what's up?
That nigga anti look like he be in your car. Yeah, that's your conflippulator messing up right there.
Yeah. Said it's a car radio.
Nah, Renegade, turn your shit
Yeah,
on.
Renegade, turn your camera
Yeah,
on.
turn your-
What you want?
Hey, put this shit up.
Oh, shit.
Hard as looking ass, nigga. Fuck you mean?
Oh, that man got
What you want?
Oh, you got the Wayne, the Kodak.
What you want?
Them bum ass Miami dreads, nigga. Fuck you mean?
What you want?
Oh,
Miami dreads, nigga.
What you want?
What you want? Yeah, what you want? Like,
why you looking like?
What you want? What you want? Huh? What you want?
You should what you want? What you want?
I can't never get Rob to talk about Renegade. I'll be laughing the whole time. What you doing?
Let me see your grill, nigga. Fuck
Renegade,
you mean?
nigga.
Renegade made a music video.
See your grill. You should be stunned like me, nigga. Where your grill at? You heard me?
Being in Miami.
No, I ain't got no grill. Ain't no grill.
Nigga, these ain't grills, nigga.
Never
go, you heard me? Yeah.
Yo, I'm crying, though.
Yo, y'all be wrong today. Today was the episode today.
Man, y'all crazy.
Yo,
man. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
You like Really?
Renegade ass look like Dylan. Like spit out of fire.
Free agency, and then we have the huge injury news from the NBA this weekend. LeBron James down with the high ankle sprain. You see it right there. It was a frightening moment if you were watching when it happened in that game against Atlanta on Saturday, a game they would eventually lose. The team announcing he'll be out indefinitely. And so with LeBron and Anthony Davis both out with injuries, the Lakers played again last night and lost to Phoenix. And not surprisingly, they have struggled mightily when LeBron and Anthony Davis are both off the court this year in 463 minutes without those two on the floor. The Lakers have been outscored by over 4 points per 100 possessions. And let me bring in my insider, Brian Windhorst, with me here. What is the latest as far as, Wendy, how long we should be expecting LeBron to be out?
Yeah, so the Lakers are preparing and telling folks that they expect it to be a month. Now, LeBron's never had this injury before. This is all the ankle sprains he's had have never been this high ankle sprain variety. And so we don't know how he's going to react. He could very well be back before that, but the Lakers are operating like it's going to be that kind of time frame. And Anthony Davis is expected to get reevaluated this week, but he's not been doing basketball activity. So even if he's cleared, he's looking at a ramp up. So the Lakers are going to be without both guys for the short-term foreseeable future, maybe without LeBron well into April.
So what does this mean? I was looking at your notes, so I'm cheating by already knowing the answer. But as far as the Western Conference playoff picture, tell everybody how this thing could play out and why it is so fascinating.
Well, let's stop watching the number 1 seed in the West because that has now lost its relevancy. The most important seed in the West is now the number 6 seed because the 6 seed is where you are when you avoid the play-in tournament. And that is where everybody is going to want to be, including the Lakers. The Utah Jazz have got to be slapping their heads because they're in the number 1 seed position. But if the Lakers fall back here, and by the way, they're a bad week from being out of the top 6. And that's not anything about them. They're second right now, but they're 4 games from being 7th. And if they fall that far back, they would have to be in the play-in tournament, which means they would not possibly play the number 1 or number 2 seed in the first round. Not to mention those teams in the play-in zone face maybe the Lakers backing up to them with LeBron James and Anthony Davis roaring through there. So all of a sudden, you've got teams in the top hoping that the Lakers avoid the play-in tournament. You've got teams in the middle saying, can we pass the Lakers to get in? And now the 6th seed, potentially you avoid the Lakers and potentially avoid the top seeds in the West. So the 6th seed becomes the most important thing. So you have a team like Dallas who's sitting on the bubble there, who's got the trade deadline coming up in 4 days. You've got Golden State sitting there with the trade deadline coming up. All of these teams now have a new look at the order of things in the West.
These are things to keep a very close eye on indeed. And earlier this morning, Hembo popped it up there that in Vegas, the Lakers are still considered the favorites to win the championship. Does that still seem right to you? LeBron and Anthony Davis, the expectation is they will come back. Does it still seem right to you regardless of where they wind up?
I like them winning the West with a healthy LeBron and AD, and I suspect they're going to add a significant player in the buyout market. Andre Drummond is the guy that they're hoping for, so I think they're going to be significantly better. Can they beat Brooklyn at full power, 4 out of 7? Well, we haven't seen the full Brooklyn team yet because I think Brooklyn is still involved in the trade market and could still be involved in the buyout market. That's a series I want to watch. I'm not ready to declare a winner there, but I still like the Lakers if they're healthy. But I'll tell you what. If they have to play a play-in tournament and then have to play the number 1 seed coming out and haven't even played the Clippers yet, that's going to be a tough route.
All right, this whole thing just got very interesting over the weekend, and we'll be keeping a close eye. Wendy, outstanding. Thank you very much. Back to the NFL.
And on this incredibly busy morning to the big story in the NBA, LeBron James with a high ankle sprain that he suffered in the Lakers' 5-point loss to Atlanta on Saturday night. You saw it right there, the team announcing he will be out indefinitely. With both LeBron and Anthony Davis out with injuries, the Lakers lost again last night to the Suns, 111-94. Not surprisingly, they've struggled this year when both LeBron and AD are not on the court. In 463 minutes, the Lakers have been outscored by over 4 points, 100 possessions this season. And it looks like that's going to be the case now for some time. Here is our insider extraordinaire. Woj is with me. Woj, what is the latest we're hearing on LeBron and that injury?
Greeny, they're still evaluating that high ankle sprain, but I'm told that the Lakers are preparing for the possibility they could be without LeBron James for 3 weeks, even a month. That's a normal time frame for recovery for that injury, but they're still firming up a timeline. James has shown in his career incredible ability to recover quickly from injury and play through injury, but this one's not going to be so easy. And the Lakers, again, are preparing for the possibility. This is going to be weeks, not days.
All right, so weeks, maybe even as long as a month. Meanwhile, Woj, what do we know about Anthony Davis and when we should expect to see him back?
Well, he's still recovering from that calf injury. His timeline doesn't change because LeBron James is out. They're not going to rush him back. So he's still, I think, at least through the next week or two, as he starts to, as they start to test that injury. But the Lakers are preparing again to go into Thursday's trade deadline. Really looking more long-term with this team, trying to make sure that they can plug some holes for when they do have a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis back for the playoffs But you heard Dennis Schroeder say it last night. This team's going to have to learn to play with some more pace, play faster, be scrappier on defense. It is a tall order for them to be competitive without those two players.
Yes, clearly. So that was going to be where I went next. The trade deadline is, as you just mentioned, on Thursday. How does this injury impact what we should expect to see the Lakers do?
I don't know that it impacts it, Greeny, because they know they're going to get both guys back, and they have to build a team and make moves that are designed for the long term, not for a short stretch of time here. I think, listen, the Lakers have been active in the trade market, but I think for them, the buyout market after the trade deadline is where they could really impact. Then you're adding players without having to lose anyone in a trade or have to trade out assets. Certainly, Andre Drummond remains a real big target for Lakers. If he's bought out, doesn't get traded here between now and Thursday. But this is a Laker team that, all of a sudden, if you're the Jazz or you're the Suns, you're a 1-2 seed, and all of a sudden you show up for the playoffs and there's a healthy AD and LeBron in the 7th, 8th seed. That's not exactly what you imagined earning a 1 or 2 seed to get, but that's how this may turn out.
That's exactly right. That will be one of the fascinating subplots of all of this. Where do the Lakers wind up placing in the playoff positioning, and how does that wind up, for lack of a better word, just destroying the season of somebody else who didn't deserve it? Woj, outstanding. Thank you. We will check back with you as further information becomes available. And obviously, that was another piece of news last night. If you're just waking up and had not heard, LaMelo Ball went down and he may not get up. He is the presumptive NBA Rookie of the Year. He has a fractured bone in his wrist, and we would expect him now to be out for the season. So we had that as well yesterday. Then we had this. Just wanted to finish up the NBA conversation with a moment of just absolute sensationalness. Look at this. Bam Adebayo up and throwing it down. He'd be called for an offensive foul, but it was still very much worth seeing. Very much worth seeing. Bam Adebayo throwing one down. Domantas Sabonis
are restricted as far as what their roster is going to be. They are basically going to have to ride it out with this group. They're taking on water right now, but they're still in good position. They're in that 3 seed. I don't see them falling back anywhere further than 6.
You mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge. You mentioned Andre Drummond. You could throw Kyle Lowry in there. Of those 3, which one could be on the move before Thursday's deadline?
I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on Kyle Lowry in Toronto. And I look at Kyle's situation there as almost having that no trade clause. If Kyle Lowry wants to get traded from Toronto, Kyle Lowry will get traded from Toronto. And they've lost 8 games in a row. They're 2.5 games out of even the play-in tournament right now. They've got Norman Powell, who could be a free agent this summer also. But Lowry is the name to keep an eye on this week.
Averaging over 17 points and 7 assists in his 9th season with the Raptors. Bobby
Approaches. Are there roster tweaks coming? I asked LeBron about what it's like to live through trade season last night. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Teams are always just trying to figure out a way how to get better, especially the ones that believe they can make a run for a championship. So that's the way it's always been not always, but for the last, 5 to 7 years, 10 years of my career, with the trade deadline and the buyouts and things of that nature. So it's 10 days. There's going to happen really fast, so we see what happens over the next 10 days.
So, Dave, look, it's changed. When he said, for the last 5 or 10 years, when LeBron started trade season, transactions were not as crazy, but they are crazy now.
Yes,
so who are the top trade and buyout candidates for the Lakers as we approach this March 25th deadline?
Well, I'll start by saying, based on the Lakers roster construction and where they're going to be at salary cap wise, it's going to be most likely buyout candidates over trade targets for the Lakers, because if they were to do away with some of their young talent in order to pursue a trade, they're going to be in a tough situation this summer moving forward. But let's start with 3 names. Andre Drummond of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's been parked on the bench for about a month now as they try to pursue trade targets. And I'm hearing that the Cavs are receiving interest in them, but because he has such a high salary number, it's going to probably be tough for them. Perhaps need a 3-team scenario in order to get that trade. Otherwise, it would be a buyout. Let's go to J.J. Redick of the Pelicans, whose shooting percentage is down a little bit this year, only shooting 36% from 3, but he's one of the true pure shooters in the game, and someone, at this stage of his career, trying to get that championship.
But never disrespect the game and take a player out purposely. He knows that. That's all that matters to me, praying for a speedy recovery. Max, Is this fair or foul for Lakers teammates to call out Solomon Hill for LeBron getting injured?
It's foul because, as Damian Woody put it the other day, and I forgot the topic already, but he said, and it wasn't on this show, all you have is your last name in this world, really, your reputation.
Oh, it's the Sean Watson topic, yeah.
Right. Like what you have really in terms of the person you are is the kind of reputation you build based on your behavior. And if you're telling Solomon Hill he made a dirty play, a non-basketball play, when it wasn't true, and took out physically, who's the biggest star in sports is now injured, it sullies his name. And he's there rightfully, I think, saying, no. Come on, he was going for the ball. You can see he was going for the ball. Now, he may not have been overly concerned about the health of the player he was going for the ball against, but that's not his job. His job is to go get the ball. I did not see a dirty play. I saw a basketball play and a little stumbling that resulted really in a really bad situation for the Lakers. I know the team is upset, but that's no excuse to try to go after a guy's name, to go after a guy's reputation based on something just because you're frustrated that's not true.
I think that's exactly why they did it. So I don't think it's too foul because I think everybody can see it. It's incredibly transparent. Now, if it was a neutral party doing this to Solomon Hill, that would be a different matter altogether. But the fact that it was the opposition, a team that LeBron James is playing for and has led since he arrived, a team that LeBron James played for this year and only missed one game up to this point. We're not accustomed to seeing LeBron James hurt. It was an aberration 2 years ago when he was out because of his hamstring pull for 17 straight games and ended up missing over 20 when they didn't make the playoffs his first year there. You're not accustomed to seeing that happen with LeBron James and all of that other stuff. So there is a level of deference that people feel that you should have towards King James in a lot of regards. It's very predictable that the Lakers would take this position because their leader has gone down. It's not an accident that they lost that game to Atlanta and then they got beat up by Phoenix last night where DeAndre Ayton drops 26 and 8. Chris Paul becomes 6th on the all-time assist list and Devin Booker just quietly drops 26 on 50% shooting. Phoenix is a problem.
Phoenix is a problem.
By the way, exceptional coaching led by Monty Williams and the crew.
8-0 in the bubble.
Exceptional coaching by him and his staff. Let's give them love. The bottom line is that it's not hard to see that the Lakers teammates being without LeBron and seeing him go down like that, they're thinking you don't go after the ball like that with LeBron in the vicinity. Okay, if it was a neutral party, then you overreact. Then you not. I wouldn't call it an overreaction because wait a minute, mind your damn business. You just gonna throw the guy's name out there like that. But considering the fact that he was the opponent, that they had just lost, that it's LeBron that got hurt or whatever.
But why did look?
I don't think they're making it dirty. I don't think they're making it up.
You think they see it that way because it's in their interest?
I think they're overly sensitive to anything because they're protective of their leader. That's what I think.
I get it. I just feel like you
can. All of us will take it that way.
I just feel like you can say, man, that's one of those things that's really, like he was going for the ball.
Right.
But to say that it was a dirty play or a non-basketball play to me,
remember years
you're
ago,
impugning his reputation.
That's right. And I don't necessarily disagree with you, but what I'm saying is I think it's an overreaction. It's a predictable overreaction on their part. And I'll give you an example. Remember years ago when Patrick Beverley hurt Russell Westbrook because he was diving, he was lunging for a loose ball. Now Patrick Beverley plays that way. Russell Westbrook couldn't stand him because of that, because it's like there's certain things you just don't do. And we all felt that way. But Patrick Beverley highlighted, that was not my intent. I just play hard all the time. I was going for the ball. You're Solomon Hill. You're going for the ball. You're not thinking about the fact that it's LeBron. And that's how it goes.
Question. There are fighters, right? We know. Like I'll even mention him by name. Evander Holyfield or someone like that.
Sure.
He was coming in. He's not exactly headbutting you, right? So you know it.
Yes.
But he is saying, look, my head's going to be there. If your face is there, that's your problem. But is that what Solomon Hill did?
Probably, but here's why I can't compare that. Evander Holyfield had that reputation. You know this better than me, covering boxing exceptionally well as you do. You know that there's a whole bunch of people out there in the sport of boxing that believes, look, and Evander Holyfield with that big head of his is going. A matter of fact, why did Tyson, not to excuse Tyson for biting him, but what did Tyson attribute it to? He can't headbutt me. He can't headbutt me. Hey, look, I can't let somebody do that to me. I got kids to raise. You remember when he said that? That's what he said, okay? So what I'm saying to you is that Evander's reputation preceded him. That's not the case.
But that's what I'm asking. So you bring up Patrick Beverley. I can see a dude like Patrick Beverley having that Holyfield where he's like, look, I'm diving for you know me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're there, that's your problem. I didn't even see that from Solomon Hill. I saw a dude going for the ball, stumble a little bit, unfortunately fell into LeBron.
But they might have. They might have because in the throes of competition, that's how you view it. I did it.
Me neither.
I did
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
I did it. I don't think it was intentional on his part at all. He certainly wasn't trying to hurt LeBron James. He was going for the ball because when you're going up against the greatest, you got to go hard all the time.
If you don't sacrifice your body on the floor against LeBron, you got no shot at all.
No shot.
Damn, Prince A. Jerry
Thomas. Nah, bro. You gotta chill. Jerry Curl, you gotta chill. They gotta think any nigga light skinned with dreads look alike.
Oh man, you're not light skinned though, SB.
Yeah, I'm like brown in the middle. Yeah, I've been in the middle.
Yeah, light skin is relative.
Nah, light skin is stand on business. He light skinned.
Jared Thomas, I know you ain't talking about
business. I thought you
right.
Talking about nobody.
Wait, y'all stand up business. You say you Cuban, but you got an African flag on that. You both black.
Hey man, listen, bro. Just because it's black Cuban, bro.
Oh, okay. I'm asking. I wasn't joking. I was asking a serious question.
He might be Hebrew Israelite. He might
no, I ain't with that pseudo shit.
Hebrew is Israel light, real light.
Ah, man. All right, don't start that shit.
Hey, next now we gotta get B. Hey, we gotta get B's old ass to turn this camera on.
Oh man,
that old ass nigga ain't gonna turn this camera on.
Oh, Bees is in here. Bees is in here.
Oh, where he
B-
at? Tell that nigga to come on the turn
B's,
this camera
we
on.
gonna see a big. We gonna see a big back TV in B's background, bud.
Oh, with the spoon face ass. Where he at? Come on in here. Bang, 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 bang. Fuck you, man.